I swear, every time I go live on this channel, I expect myself to break everything. I expect something to go wrong. I don't have faith in myself. I sit here for 5 minutes panicking like something is going to go wrong for me. I have no trust in myself that I can handle being on a different Twitch channel. I don't know what it is. I've done this now 3 times, and every time I go live, there's just this innate doubt that what I am gonna like go live and I'm gonna be on like someone else's Twitch channel that I copied the link wrong somehow, or it's gonna say that I didn't get to go live, and then I'm just a mess the whole time. But hello everybody who is here right now. My name is baeginning. I am here today. This is my third stream over at It Gets Better. And I'm excited. I've been changing it up literally. I don't know what I want to do anymore. So every time I've gone live, it's been something completely different. And you know what? Hey, we're all for it. We're keeping it exciting because I don't know what I want to do on my main channel. If I don't know what I want to do on my main channel, then on here, we are just going to be doing what I'm replicating over there. But over here today, we at least have a focus and a topic of what we're going to be talking about. And I want to be able to keep this as like an open discussion as well for anybody who would have questions. But the main topic for me right now, and it's actually something that is still something I'm going through right now, is actually like the whole name change process when it comes to somebody who is either transitioning or doesn't identify with the name that they were given to at birth and then wants to change it. Because this whole process is honestly tiring. I'm not gonna lie. It's not that it's like a difficult process. It's just a tedious process. And in New Jersey, I'm lucky because there are some states that require when you get a name change to even have to like file it in the newspaper and like announce your name change, which is very like old school and very bad way of thinking. I like, especially because it's pretty much the equivalent of like outing you to anybody who like reads a paper. And I get it, not many people read the newspaper nowadays, but still, like, I'm glad that the state that I live in doesn't require that, but I do know a lot of states that do require that. And that's just like one of like the many things that you have to do with that whole process. I got my name changed back in October, as when my court date was October 28th. I filled out paperwork around September. Savannah, hello, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Hi, Savannah. And when I filled out the paperwork for it, I remember I didn't know what I was doing. I had a friend who is going to school for like lawyer stuff, and she helped me through all of that because I had no idea what I was doing. And I remember that just being like one of the most difficult things. And then you have to wait a month after the court order to get the court paper in the mail with like the gold seal and everything like that. Yes, lawyer stuff. Look, it's the easiest way to say it. I'm getting, Sulky messages me like, oh, I'm not going to be here, just so you know, so I have another coworker that's going to be in. I didn't realize this coworker that was going to be here was just going to be sassy towards me. I tease. But yeah, they helped me through a lot of that stuff, and then after the court, we love you. I'm so happy. I literally, I've had so many people over like the last like couple weeks ask me about this charity, and like, I talk about how I work with, a charity, and it's such a surreal thing for me still. And even though this is like my third stream on here, it is still crazy that part of my goal for streaming on my main channel was to help people be able to feel comfortable with themselves and give them a place in an area that they might not have that. So to be able to work for a platform that is, advocating for LGBT youth is such a tremendous thing that, again, like furthers like the brand that I'm trying to represent. So I just want to say again that I appreciate that. Zaz, hello. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Big shout outs, of course, to, the people who come in for my stream and are here to hang out, because it goes a long way. You know, again, I get nervous. If anybody who watches my stream knows me, I'm nervous really easily, and I'm nervous when I do something different. And this is definitely something different. Also, speaking of different, OBS updated for me before I went live, and now there's a giant red recording circle on OBS when you're streaming. And when I first saw that, when I hit the start streaming button, I thought OBS was like saying like, no, you're not live. And I immediately just had this like, oh god, oh dear, what did I do? Did I copy the link wrong? I had literally no idea what happened, what was going on, and I was just like, OBS, stop updating. I don't like updates. Updates scare me because updates imply that there is a chance for things to get broken. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but anytime there's an update for something, I'm always worried that something is gonna break somehow in that update. Yeah. It's never easy. One day I'll have less anxiety. That day is not today, though. But today we're here to, again, we're gonna do some shiny hunting. If you've ever seen that in Pokemon, shinies are an alternate coloring, and that's been a challenge that I've been doing right now of trying to get a bunch of them on my main channel. And I figure, to me, shiny hunting is a pretty much like just chatting with the equivalent of the occasional like excitement for when you catch something. So it's really easy to still facilitate a conversation while still doing something else. So it's really nice because I don't have to keep like my full attention on the game, and I can still give, you know, the conversation all of the attention that I have. And then when something exciting happens, we all go hypers. Marie, hello. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Savannah, honestly, I feel broken. And you want to know why I feel broken? So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about me. I have oily hair. And the past 2 days, my hair has been so dry that, like, I will put my hand up to my hair, and it will be like, you remember when you're in elementary school and you would learn about static electricity, and they would tell you, hey, rub the balloon up against your hair, and then watch it, like, pull your hair with you. That is the equivalent of, like, my hair now whenever I try to, like, brush my fingers through it and or anything like that. I don't know what happened. I think it just might be, like, how dry the air is right now in my area. But I am, like, so paranoid that my hair is just gonna go out like this. And I don't want to look embarrassing. I don't really want to look embarrassing. I'm gonna be honest. I am very, again, there's just like the constant state of paranoia in my head. One day, again, I'll have, some trust in myself. But everyone in the chat, how are we all doing today? Hope you all are having a lovely Wednesday. I started my day off well. You want to know what I did? I made breakfast. I didn't order it. I made breakfast. I made 3 eggs, mixed in some cheese, cut up some sun-dried tomatoes so that it would actually like cook in there, scrambled it all up, had myself a nice breakfast with some coffee. Then around, I want to say like 1 o'clock, I had some grilled chicken and some fries. Nothing too wild, but I am still trying to... One of the biggest things for me right now, especially in the process of like, transitioning and stuff like that, it really helps when I give myself 2 to 3 things that I do a day to feel like I'm productive in my days. Even the days that I'm not streaming, I still try to hold that productivity to myself. And I think it really does help with the mental side of things, and it helps with sort of allowing myself to, feel like every day is a step in the right direction. Because I used to be like, I would spend days where I would only sit at my computer and play games and not really think about anything else. And I looking back now, I kind of feel like I have these days where I would go to sleep, and when I went to sleep, I would sit there and I would be like, what did I do today? And I wouldn't be able to answer that question. And that's kind of like not what I want to do with myself going forward. So it really is this like whole paradigm shift for myself in trying to make sure that I keep this like positive mindset with myself. And it's difficult, don't get me wrong. I know it's not going to be easy. Just like most things when it comes to transitions and mental health and all of that stuff. It definitely isn't easy. It helps to have like a really good support system behind you. And I think that I have some really good close friends and a chat that is constantly being supportive of me. And I find that that is a great starting point. And I know it's not that not everybody can have that, but if you can just find like that one thing that like that joy that supports you, that goes such a long way. And I really do think that that is a big thing. Marie, you just woke up, ma'am. Do we got to talk about things? Marie, I feel like ever since I started to get to know you, you've been waking up later and later in the day. Do we need to do I got to become a mom friend? I don't want to mom my chat because that adds this weird parasocial relationship. Do I got to start momming you all? Do I got to ask the It Gets Better chat if you've eaten today? Are you hydrating enough? You know what? I'm doing it. All right. If you're here right now, I need to know, what have you eaten so far today? I do it in my own stream. I got to do it here now. I don't have trust in my chat. I don't have trust. Y'all are not sleeping well enough. You're not eating. Got to make sure that you don't pick on Marie. They're gaming. Well, are they gaming and eating? And are they hydrating? That goes for you too. It Gets Better. I know you're here listening to me stream. You better have eaten something. I'm a mess. But hey, I'm a mess because it's my personality. Always hydrated over there. Good job. See, that's what we like to see. You had a chicken burrito. You slept from 9:30 to 8. You went to sleep early, Savannah. And then apparently it's snowing by Savannah. And Savannah lives in Arizona. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't imagine snow in Arizona. I'm sorry. It just doesn't make sense. You had cereal for breakfast and a grilled cheese for lunch. Oh, I could really go for a grilled cheese. I really like a grilled cheese where they have like a nice piece of bacon on it as well to give it like that crunch. Or you mix in like thinly sliced pepperoni and just give it like that like salty texture as well. Those are like what I go to right now. I bet you do, Savannah. I bet you do. So I'm very much, again, my focus today is obviously if people have any questions, but otherwise I can very much be focused in on the Pokemon and, you know, talking about the transition and everything that's going on with me, because it's been a lot that's actually been going on since I've last been here. In terms of what's personally going on with me, I actually, over the last month, I got a new Social Security card. I updated my license, and my new license should be arriving in the mail in like a week or two. Then after that, I can book an appointment with my passport to update my passport. And then I'll feel like and then I have to order a new birth certificate. I've been looking into having to order a new college diploma, and I have to email my old school, which I haven't done anything at my school in 4 years now. So I have to go contact my school to get a new college diploma. So there's a lot that's like, it's a lot that you wouldn't initially think about. Hey, I had those already since before I went live here. So many documents. Yeah, it's wild because, like, again, like, most people wouldn't think a college diploma is something that is... You wouldn't... Yeah, exactly, Selene. You wouldn't have thought about a college diploma being something to, like, order. And it really is, like... Again, like, obviously that's, like, I want to say, like, an optional thing in a sense. But it's definitely something that... Unless you're, like, really trying to pick everything. But when you said it... Yeah, exactly. The progress is so good having the... Yeah, it is so good. Especially because nowadays, I don't know if other states are like this, but in the New Jersey DMVs, you're not allowed to go in there without your Social Security card on hand. No matter what you're going in for, you need your Social Security card. So I wouldn't have been able to do anything without getting that done. So the Social Security card opens up so many avenues for you as to what direction you go next. And it's a very, like, fascinating thing to be able to look at. And, I mean, it does also get pricey is the other thing. Because, like, let's face it, everything in America is, hey, give us your money. Like, license, $24. If you want copies of the court order, every new copy is $25. You don't need it at your DMV. So I must be only a couple states that are doing that, but yeah, it's pretty much like automatically like you now have to have your Social Security wherever you go with the DMV, or not wherever you go, but yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you really don't need it for most things, but I guess, like, it's the DMV, and I'll probably need it as well for, like, my passport. And then I have to give that information for a new birth certificate, which is something I have to, like, fill out online. It's... it really does. I say for anybody who goes through a name change, regardless of if you're doing it for transitioning purposes or whatever, make a list of everything that you have on paper. You're, like... everything that has your name on paper, and then is it something that you need to order, and then have that list on hand, because you won't. I'll be honest, I didn't remember everything when I was doing this. Like, again, birth certificate was something that didn't even cross my mind at the start unless I was reading it actively, and I know it's something that should have, but it wasn't anything that I really did. You almost wish it had it. It really, and like, it's funny because the name change process, like you're saying, Celine, even when you get married, is like a difficult thing. I had a friend who she recently got married, and she was talking about, like, she got married like a month after I got my name changed. So I'm talking to her about that, and she's like, I don't even know what I want to put for, like, my last name, or even, like, my first name at that matter, because she's like, if I'm going to, already get my last name be changed, then I should probably be like, well, if it's, I should go through the process of getting my first name changed if I don't like my first name. So then she was sitting there trying to find a name that she liked on top of, filling out all the paperwork. And it's still like a similar process. Sorry. I want to make my lips pop a little bit more. Don't mind me. You think your degree would have been your first thought after your name just because work? And yeah, that makes sense, Savannah. Like, I think that it depends on, like, the circumstances. Like, for me, being a content creator, I don't inherently think about my degree because I'm going to be honest, my college degree sits upstairs in my parents' living room. It's just hanging up there. I don't need it for anything. It's been sitting there since I got it 4 years ago. It's not like I do anything with it, So it wasn't ever at, like, the forefront of my thought process. It's so... The thing is, Marie, is that to start off, courts want to make sure that you're not doing a name change for illegal purposes. So you always... like, when I appeared in front of the judge goes and asks me, all right, are you avoiding anything crime related? No. Do you have any crime history? No. Like, they go through all these questions that they want, because it's really just like making sure that all of their information in the back end is reflecting on legality. But it's still a complicated process, and at the root of things, very old school. Because again, I was talking about this earlier, a lot of states require you to publish the name change in the newspaper. And again, it's a very old school way of thinking. New Jersey actually only got rid of that within, like, the last, like, 2 or 3 years. It's wild how like, recently that has been something that's changed. And, like, again, it's very rough for a trans person to have to do that, because it's the equivalent of outing yourself. Like, imagine living in your hometown still, your entire life, starting your transition, you finally get to do your name change in your local town, and then you have to say in the newspaper, "Hi, I am this, changing my name to that." And maybe like 7 people that you go to, like that you went to school with, read that. That's not, and like you don't want them to know that. Like that's privacy that you have to reveal. Yeah, it's a very old school way of things, Selene. Why in the newspaper? Because America. Fam, hello. How are you? I hope you're doing well. All right, I think what I want to do is I want to change over to the scene now. I think I want to continue this conversation, but let's continue with some shiny hunting, shall we? My chat has been very much enjoying themselves here. And actually what I need to do is, I can actually see it right now. Sometimes what happens with my capture device is it goes out of sync. So if you just bear with me here real quick, I'm going to quickly resync it back up here. So that way you can see it just like I can. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So I saved recently because I have a new Pokemon that I need to go for. So we're going to be going for this little fishy there. Does that mean people have to do that for changing their name when they get married as well? So I think marriage is on a similar vein for needing to do that. But like maybe not, because sometimes people will do it via last name. Is the alert not gonna play? Oh heck, Lila's coming in with a raid of 50 people. Are my alerts broken? I knew something was gonna happen. Something bad was gonna happen to the stream. I'm sorry, everyone. My OBS updated today, and I knew something was gonna break. But everyone, oh, there it is. That one played. Okay, we're good. So the follower alert at least plays. Lilas, thank you for the raid. Everyone coming in. Hi, my name is Chloe. I am a full-time content creator here on Twitch. Today is my 3rd time streaming over at It Gets Better. And I am doing shiny hunting in Pokemon Legends Arceus. So if you are avoiding Pokemon spoilers, you don't have to deal with that here. But we're also talking about the name change process and everything that I have to, I've had to go through, because the name change process is a newer thing for me. And it's been something I've been pretty much working on since October. And there's a lot of things that people wouldn't have considered in the name change process that you need to, like, handle. Like, one of the things that I mentioned was, like, a college diploma. That's something I have to email my old school to get. And so, like, that's kind of like the conversation that we're having right now. But we have... Is it Julia? Welcome on in. Job, hello. Cozy Days, hello. Lilas, hello. Vestal Cat, hello. Tefolium, hello. Camden, hello. And anybody else who might... Kiki, hello. Everyone else that is coming in from the stream, I hope all of you are having a lovely day. If you had a fun time in Lilas' stream, do let me know. So, if you don't know how shiny hunting works in this game, it's going to be a lot of me restarting the game to be able to get the shiny that I want. So you pretty much sit here and you leave the area, and then you have to constantly check for it to be shiny. So it's going to be a lot of resetting while having a conversation. Lily, thank you for following the It Gets Better channel. I appreciate that. You're really hoping to get a shiny Gumi tomorrow if you outbreak for them? Yes, shiny Gumi is adorable. Hang on, let me... I have a lot of shinies. I'm currently trying to get a shiny for every Pokemon. So here is the Gumi. Look at how adorable they are. Even Sligo looks nice. Then you got the nice bronze, kind of like bronze-ish shell with the Gudra. It looks great, though. Definitely a good shiny to go for. Legality and name change in the announcements that you think is situational. Yeah, again, like that's probably like what I was thinking, for sure. Lily, hello. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Okay, so you see there, I didn't have the Pokemon that I'm going for, so I'm just going to restart the game. And you pretty much keep restarting the game until you get the Pokemon that you're trying to go for again. That's kind of how this whole process works. I saw this earlier today, and I was like, no, let me save this for this stream, because I've been doing a lot of shiny hunting on my own. What my goal right now is to get a shiny of every single Pokemon that is able to be shiny in this game. That's over 200 Pokemon that I'm trying to do, and I'm currently at approximately 120. So we're getting there. We're getting toward. We're getting to a point where we're gonna start to soon be at less than 100 away, which is wild to think about. All right, and the Basculin is back. Savannah, you want me to show you? All right, I'll show Savannah. I'll show Savannah. I've named Savannah after one of her favorite Pokemon. I like to name my Pokemon after some of them, after some of my viewers, because it's their favorite. So here we are. Tura, thank you for the follow. Welcome to It Gets Better. I hope you enjoy your stay. I almost said my own follow because that was out of habit. Here is Savannah's Pokemon. Yes, look at the little green Teddiursa. The baby. The baby. I've been doing a lot of evolution in my free time with said Pokemon. That was like one of the things that I've been trying to do. I've been saving some of them so that I can do them for like live for people to see. But some of them I was also just doing on my own. Vesta Cat, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. So we're just gonna fly over to the Basculin, working on that. If anybody here who came in from Lila's stream is a Pokemon person, I'd like to know. I always am interested. What's your favorite Pokemon? Personally, my favorite is Chikorita. I have always found Chikorita to be the cutest little thing, and it makes me sad that Chikorita is not in this game. Every game that has Chikorita just gets instantly better. Can you be Cyndaquil when I get one? Cyndaquil will probably be one of the last ones, but I will gladly do that for you, Marie. So, back at like the whole name change process. So, I was talking about how back in September is when I started to fill out the paperwork. And the end of October was when I had the court date. And then, or was when, yeah, when I had the court date. And then November was when I got my paper for it, which allowed me to start doing everything. So already right there, that was like a 2-month process of fill out the paperwork, have the court date, and then wait for the thing to come in the mail. So already you're looking at like a 2-month time frame from like start to finish there. And then it's, you know, with how light the world is right now, you have to, you know, book appointments at your DMV. You have to book appointments over at the, what's it called? You have to book appointments at, you know, maybe a passport place, or you have to email your college for the diploma. And I've been telling people, just make a list of everything that you have to do or you think that you need to get changed over. I even just had this issue that I didn't even think about. So I go to a therapist, and while I saw this therapist, my name change went into effect. About 2 weeks ago, I got in the mail a bill from the therapist's office for $900. And the reason I got the bill and that my insurance wasn't covering it was because I forgot to tell the therapist's office that they don't bill me under my dead name because insurance changed over. So I had a bill for 2 sessions as an uninsured person, when in reality it was because they didn't change the account information to properly reflect the name change. So that's, again, like a big thing that you have to like be conscious about going forward. Starters can be shiny in this game, Zaz, but you can only get them via the distortions. Ditto, Mimikyu, Snorlax, or any Pokemon that have not actually lewd, but lewd imagery shaped like Cloyster or Onix. You know, that's a valid thing right there, Tura. Is it Tura Stark? Turatark? Ditto is, I actually, if you haven't seen, I actually have like a ton right here. Oh god, ignore that on the screen. yeah. Ignore that part right there. Hang on, here you go. So I actually have a ton of Pokemon plushies here. We have a Wooloo, we have a Rowlet, we have a bunch of different things that are on this, that are here. So a bunch of different Pokemon. You actually have Ditto. It's like right here. You can see the pink. I don't have a Mimikyu plush though yet. Mimikyu is definitely one that I should probably try to get at some point. I feel like Mimikyu is such a popular one that I didn't want to initially get it, but, like, there's a reason it's popular. I also feel like I have a Chikorita and I have a Bayleaf one, and so I feel like it only makes sense at some point for me to get a Meganium plush, and therefore complete the evolutionary line. You have to do them in the right order. Yeah, that is the big thing too, Selene, is that you have to do them in the right order. There are some things that, you know, like, again, I couldn't do my passport until I updated my license, and I couldn't update my license until I updated my social security card. So there is, like, an order that you have to go in with this. You want the Ditto as other Pokemon plushies? Those are super cute. I used to collect the Pokemon card versions of those. There's, like, 8 of them that came out in, like, the early 2000s. It was, like, all the starters, Pikachu, I think there was a Mr. Mime, and, like, one other one. And I remember they were just the cutest thing, and I absolutely adored them. I feel like I still would want a Squirtle one. I think Squirtle, or Ditto Squirtle, is very cute. You wish you had more room for plushies? See, here's the thing. I sleep on that bed. I really don't have more room for plushies there. But, you know, it happens. It happens that I don't, and I need to get more. You know, you know what I've realized? Is that as long as I take them off of my bed every single day, then I have room in my bed again. So, I can decorate my bed literally up into the very back of it, and there will be no problems. So I'm just gonna keep decorating my bed with plushies as I see fit. I got a question for the people in chat. You know, I don't know if anybody else goes through this similar feeling or, you know, like, worry. I was sitting there eating lunch, and while I was sitting there eating lunch, I was like, I don't know why, but in my brain, I was like, I need to call my grandmother. I was like, I don't think anything's, you know, going wrong with her or anything's bad's happening to her, with her, but there's days where my grandmother has called me in the past, and she's just been like, hey, for some reason, I feel like there's something wrong, and I want to check in with you. And I had the same exact thing just happen today with my grandmother, where I was like, hey, you know, I don't know if there's anything going on. I don't know if there's anything wrong, but I just needed to check in with you because I wanted to make sure that you're okay. Because my grandmother is probably, like, one of my biggest supporters, and I feel like lately, as she's been stressing about other things, I've had less time to be around her. And I think because of that, it's made me worry more about her, because I'm not actively seeing her as much. Did you get here in time for Squishmallows? Oh, disaster. There's always Squishmallow talk. We were talking plushies and Squishmallows as well, because I have a huge plushie collection behind me. All the plushies in the world. You and your partner have almost 4 small to large Squishmallows. See, I like small plushes, but my biggest problem is that I find small plushes to be like, I don't know. I like larger ones because they almost can be like a pillow in a sense, or like, I don't want to say like a cuddle partner, but in a way like a cuddle buddy, you know? 40, not 4. Oh, very different. Very different number. Someday you'll learn to type, you know, that's relatable to me. I've been diagnosed ADHD since I was 4 years old, and I found it very apparent when I would do schoolwork and when I was trying to write essays and stuff, that my brain would act faster than I could type or I could write. And there were times where I would be an entire sentence ahead in my thoughts than what was going down on the paper. And I would constantly see feedback in, like, my essays in school, and they were like, hey, you seem to have just, like, missed a thought here, or missed a very important word here. And it's very silly to think about, because I just go, Oh yeah, I thought of that word. I just never wrote it because I couldn't comprehend, or I couldn't get everything on paper fast enough. You had a late in life diagnosis, and holy hell, yes, it may. You know, I don't want to. Again, I don't. I know that in general, people who are born, or you know, are born female, actually have a more difficult time getting an ADHD diagnosis. And it's a very, like, I've looked into this stuff, and it's, you know, a lot of it is, like, a thing that a lot of, you know, people that are, you know, born female do have ADHD, but they get, like, masked by other things, or you sort of grow up to be raised in a way that you don't show these symptoms. That was one of the... And you got diagnosed? Yeah, it's like... It's a very, like... I don't want to say... you know, it's a common issue. Like, I'll see it a lot with, like, content creators that are, you know, like, female identifying or born female. And they'll be like, hey, you know, finally at 28, diagnosed ADHD. Finally, you know, things are making so much more sense for me. And it's such, like, a breath of fresh air for a lot of these people, but they don't get their diagnosis until much later in life, and it's a very unfortunate situation for them. Yeah, I definitely have that happen too, Marie. Like, and then also, because I don't slow myself down when I'm typing, I'll often, like, flip-flop letters, and so I'll just have, like, a big, like, misspell, and or I'll be, like, thinking of the next word, and I'll kind of combine the two words together. Like, yesterday, I wanted to say, sleeps, and I combined, like, sleeps and the word next to it, and I got slaps typed instead, and I didn't get the next word there. So my comment, instead about talking about sleep, was talking about slaps. So you can kind of see where the problem occurs. As an assigned female, you got ADHD at 35, then you're diagnosed at 39. Yeah, it's so wild, disaster. Like, I as a trans woman, I was lucky in a sense that I was diagnosed at the age of 4. So I was at a very young age is when I got my medication for it. But honestly, for me personally, I don't know if anybody else could probably relate to this if they, not even on like the ADHD side of things, but like the medicine side of things. Growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s, I felt like there was like this stigma on people who took medicine, and I was so afraid of being judged by people for having to take medicine that when I was like 13 years old, I actually told my mom I want to stop my medication because I felt like I wasn't normal with it. And that's like such a, you know, bad thing to say, or like to think about yourself, that you're not normal because you're on medication. And it's not something that you should like actively, you know, like think about, but it is like the thing that I kind of go through. There's a lot of these like social stigmas that play in my head that develop this. You totally did a day in the life of the ADHD TikTok. What a perfect time for me to be talking about that. I didn't even know that was going to get brought up, but look at me bringing up ADHD. And I definitely still have the ADHD. Like, it's definitely rough at times. Like, it's very much when my sister, or not my sister, my mom, who will be like, hey, Chloe, I need you to go, you know, take the garbage out after you're done eating. And my brain will just be so scatterbrained that I'll have responded and be like, yeah, I'll do that. And then by the time I finish up eating, that thought is never going to cross my head again. Like, my brain just is in a different place. There's too many things going on, and I am not conscious about taking the garbage out anymore. I have to, like, remind myself of these things. AMAP, a trans daughter who is 20 now, only recently got the ADHD diagnosis because her manifesting as a kid was super different than the other ones. You know, that's really interesting too. And I think I had the benefit of for better or worse, as somebody who's turning 26 this year, I had the benefit of being born in 96, and I feel like in the early 2000s, and maybe there are people who can, like, vouch for this, but I feel like that was, like, peak ADHD diagnosis time. Like, I felt like everyone was getting diagnosed ADHD, or they were trying to test you for ADHD. And so I was at this point where, doctors thought that there was something, but they weren't sure what. I even, like, there were a bunch of tests that I took throughout the years. I was tested on the autistic spectrum. I was tested for ADHD. There were all these things that they were testing me for most of, like, my early childhood, from, like, ages, like, 3 to, like, 8. They really just wanted to make sure that they, like, knew what was going on with me. Little did they know, I didn't know what was going on with me. And that's okay. First off, I understand that this is an LGBT youth charity, but I want to talk about this because it's relevant to a lot of these thoughts that I'm having right now. If you're young, please do not watch this show, but there's a show on right now called Euphoria, and I only recently started this. And this show, I knew absolutely nothing about this show, but my friend told me that there was a trans woman who, portrays a transgender individual in the show. And I got to an episode about her childhood, and I'm sitting there like, God, all of this stuff is, like, relatable to me. Like, her story and, like, what she goes through and, like, the mental things, like, I can draw parallels to that. And it makes me, like, sad at times for me, because I didn't come out until I was 20, and I'm very impatient with myself. So a lot of the time I'll go, damn, if only I could go back to middle school days, but have the knowledge that I do now to be able to, come out and, start transitioning sooner and all of that stuff. But on the flip side, I could have taken till I was 40 to get to that point. Like, I have to remind myself that, hey, I'm getting here now and everyone's journey is different. But it does, there is, like, that constant, like, damn, if only this happened, maybe but pre-puberty or anything like that. Certainly the mid-80s was huge in testing into the 2000s. Okay. I knew the 90s. I didn't know it started all the way to, like, the mid-80s. No one was testing anyone for ASD. Didn't even know until 2012 that your youngest was diagnosed. That's so wild to, like, think about how, people just didn't get, like, the proper diagnoses to help them with, like, mental health and, the things that could make things a lot more, like, I don't want to say make sense, but, in a way, a lot of these things help you sort of understand yourself more. Like, if you can't concentrate, maybe there's a reason for it, and imagine what you could do if you're concentrating and, you start to have less doubt in yourself because you can focus. Like, there's so many things that sort of come out of, like, being able to understand yourself more. And everybody, again, is different when it comes to being able to understand themselves, and everybody takes more time, and you have to understand that for yourself, that while you might have the initial, like, oh, woe is me, it's okay to go through something in your own pace. Am I impatient with my name change process that I haven't gotten everything done? Yes. Am I understanding that I had a surgery at the end of December, which really slowed down my ability to do things? Yes. Yes, I am. But it's still, like, you get through that impatience in yourself. And I think, again, part of that comes from ADHD and not being able to, slow down and understand patience. Use research superpower. A lot of things made sense all of a sudden. And, like, I don't ever want to talk about self-diagnosing because I understand, or it's not that I don't want to talk about it. I don't ever want to assume something about myself or self-diagnose myself because I know that that's not a healthy way of dealing with things, but it can lead to possible avenues for you to go down. Like, as a trans woman, I unironically would take quizzes in like high school and middle school of like, oh, what gender are you? Like those, like, think about like those silly BuzzFeed quizzes. I would unironically take those quizzes because I was like, all right, do I really seem like I'm more feminine? Or is this just like an in my head kind of thing? And this was like obviously, you know, the thing that I did. And maybe it's not like the most accurate because, you know, they're quizzes and everything like that. But still, you could always, I find that I always have this drawing of like my past experiences and like being like, oh, it makes sense why I was like this, or why I feel the way that I did, or why I, you know, again, like a lot of it's almost like I think the saying is all roads lead to somewhere or something along those lines. And yeah, all the roads are leading to somewhere, but it's the answer that I had, and I can just draw all these past events to myself. Thinking about how, yeah, Marie, that's like the big thing for me is, you know, I had a friend who's streaming, and for Valentine's Day, he did a Valentine's Day stream, and it was, you dress up like you were at your high school dances again, and, you know, treat it like a high school role play. And he asked me to be there, and I was like, hey, Capri, you know, that kind of area, it makes me very emotional and gives me a lot of dysphoria, because I personally didn't get to have these experiences, and I don't want to really bring up a lot of those things because I didn't get to experience it the way that I wish I could have. And I think that, like, it's one of those things that you have to sort of accept. I don't want to say accept, actually. It's one of those things that you have to understand in yourself. And while you want to have these events and be around for these things, it's okay to understand if something is going to bother you. And again, it's really just like understanding your dysphoria and understanding how to go about what makes you comfortable. You know, I used to feel that one of the things that I had to do was I had to push myself and, in a sense, throw myself into the fire. And in a way, you know, just like not think about it and just do it. And maybe that works for some people, by all means. But that can also cause harm in trying to help yourself. Like, was there some situations that it helped me? Yes. When you know, for the longest time, even like, despite already being on my hormone replacement therapy, there were often times where I would still be afraid to, you know, it took me over a year and a half to feel like I could go into like a public restroom. You know, I would actively, like, you know, avoid having to use the bathroom out in public because I, you know, felt so awkward and uncomfortable still. You know, and then it took, you know, me going to TwitchCon, actually. And that was, like, the first time that I used, like, a public restroom in, like, over a year. I was literally just, like, you know, again, having the right support system was something else we were talking about before. Because I literally was like, hey, will you, you know, go to the bathroom with me? As weird as that sounds, you know, like, at the root of things, having that person there to know that I wasn't alone was such a amazing feeling to have. And again, you never know how those, like, little things are going to add up to helping somebody develop that confidence. But I did have to sort of throw myself into the fire. I didn't want to think about it. It was, I finished breakfast, got to the TwitchCon arena, and then said, hey, I need to use the bathroom. Will you go with me? Didn't even question it, didn't even think, and just walked in. And, like, you know, that was a positive environment for me. But there are other times where you sort of have to, you know, not throw yourself in there because it can cause harm, especially if there's, like, a negative reception toward whatever you are doing. So it's understandable to feel on both ends of the spectrum. Little things like that can, yes, exactly, they do feel so big. And then, like, the thing is that, like, even then, I still couldn't regularly do it. You know, I only found it after a certain point that I was only comfortable when I was in the presence of friends. When it was family, I still felt uncomfortable. But when I'm around friends, I was able to develop that, like, okay, hey. And it was mainly, maybe it was because I could ask them, and I didn't want to ask, you know, like, my mother to use the bathroom with me. Like, there are, you know, it's one of those things that I definitely do have those things. And I think, like, the big thing is, when it comes to, like, transitioning or, you know, trying to develop, and, you know, even, like, in a general sense of self-confidence, you have to understand that these little things can add up to being a big picture for you and to feel better about yourself. You know, it's okay to take small steps with everything that you're doing. It doesn't have to be one giant step. You can do 10 little steps to reach that giant step. And it's still something that I struggle with. I'm not going to say it's an easy thing to do, because it's definitely not. I could, you know, you could attack, there's people in the chat who can literally, you know, for better or worse, they could almost call me a hypocrite for saying this. Only because, oh, there's our shiny! There's the first shiny of the day, chat! Look at that! Did we get it? Alright, I think we got it. I think that was it. So we saw the little sparkles there, we saw the little chime. So now I just need to clear this den out, and then I can check if it's shiny. Look at that, we got our first one of the day. That's the best part about shiny hunting in this game, is that you get, like, a chime and, like, stars and everything like that. So it's, like, really noticeable whether or not you get it. And because you save every time before you go to the area, if for whatever reason you lose it, then you can just restart your game. Let's see here. Go to the first box. Yep, there it is. It is slightly off-colored. You can see it is a brighter color, but it is there. So we did get the shiny. Look at that. Another one on the list. God, I am running out of boxes. Yeah, I'm catching so many shinies that my boxes just keep expanding more and more here. And then we're, you know, we're a very nice group of, you know, people here, where if we don't need the non-shiny one, we just release it back to the wild. No harm, no foul. We let you go back to the sea. And now we look for the next one to go for. And that's shiny hunting in this game. So you get those exciting moments, and it's always, and if you don't have a Pokemon that you want to go for, then sometimes I just like to fly around and see if anything spawns on its own. Because the method that I was doing right there is called the mass outbreak method, where a random Pokemon can spawn anywhere between 6 to 16 times. The odds of you getting a shiny from that are about 1 in 150 at base without doing anything to amplify it. The overworld Pokemon, which are just like that one over there, or this one coming up that's about to appear on the screen, those are at a 1 in 4,000 odds. So they're a little bit more rare to have spawn, but I still like to check around because you never know. Hopefully the stream luck works here too. We have a joke in my chat that I radiate shiny luck. So if there's ever anybody who wants to shiny hunt, I recommend just hanging out, making sure that, you know, you sit around and maybe the luck will translate over there. Look, I'm still beginning here, even if I'm streaming at twitch.tv/itgetsbetter. I'm still beginning though. I think the shiny luck should still persist. That was only like 6 tries, you know, nothing too wild. Yes, we will bring that luck over here. Shiny hunting in this game, if you've ever watched villager hunting in Animal Crossing, where people have like their favorite villager that they want to try to get, and they go back and forth trying to get like the specific villager that they want in Animal Crossing, it's kind of in a similar vein to what I'm doing here, where you'll keep leaving the village, or you'll keep leaving the island to go villager hunting until you get the one that you want. Here, it's just me resetting for the same villager in particular until it's like the equivalent of it wearing like a different shirt. But when you do hit that moment, it is so exciting, and it is so, you know, it's one of those things that patience is definitely something that you need here. It's, again, it's really funny having to talk about patience being one of the 80 most hyperactive people that I've known in my life. My mom used to make a joke that I was either going to, you know, like design the next game, or I was just going to be mellow out to be like the most, you know, like, no, like the most like relaxed person possible. And it was mainly because I was so hyperactive growing up that she thought that I was either going to be able to use that to like design something amazing, or I would burn so much energy out of myself growing up that I wouldn't have any energy left to do anything, like to be like this hyperactive person by the time I get to an adult. And you know, it is like like people get tired at times literally just listening to me and seeing me. You see me play Fall Guys, can't say a relaxed person is what I would do to describe you. Nope, never relaxed. Never relaxed. I think sometimes I have spoken so fast that I've had people like literally get exhausted from me. And it's funny because, again, as somebody with ADHD, I can speak really fast like this and know like everything what I'm saying, but for some people it might be a little bit harder to understand what you're saying because I'm speaking at such a fast pace that, you know, maybe the words kind of start to blend together, and even though I'm talking like this, you still don't really understand. You can kind of pick out what I'm saying, but not really the entire time. And like I understood everything that I said there, and I wasn't even thinking about what I was saying. But I can understand how for some people, they could just hit me with like a blank face, like, what did you just say? I'm so confused. Because it is this like thing where I can go so fast with myself that it is kind of wild to think about. Alright, right now I'm looking for trees that are shaking, because there are certain Pokemon that you can only get via the shaking tree, and if I'm going to try to get a shiny of every single Pokemon, then I have to get those Pokemon from the trees to spawn shiny. You were speaking ADHD? Exactly! I've always been super fast in general when it comes to myself. Like, I used to have teachers, I talked about this actually on my last stream. I used to have teachers that would yell at me for taking quizzes too quickly, because they're like, you're going too fast. I know you got something wrong. And I would just not believe them, if I'm being honest with you. I would just be like, no, I know what I'm doing. I got this right. And like, sometimes they were right, and sometimes they weren't. But still, it is something that I got warned at like such a young age that I was going too quickly, and everything that I was doing was like stimulating me too fast. Pachirisu in a tree? Yeah, apparently Pachirisu can be in the tree here. Shaky tree, coming over there. I don't know why this isn't a holiday theme song anyway. Hey, shaky tree, will you be shiny? Nope. Burmy is a very, a sad shiny, because the only thing different with Burmy is that little, like, antenna part of itself goes blue. So it's a very difficult one to notice. Yeah, so, you know, like, the whole ADHD thing was always a, like, problem with me, and again, like, it almost drew impatience in a way, because I remember I would try to, like, teach people games, for instance, because I've played games my whole life. And when I would try to teach people games, I would oftentimes get impatient that they didn't understand what I was saying instantly. And I would, like, I was never, you know, my mom would make a joke, because she's a teacher, and she would be like, you can never become a teacher. Because I would, like, I don't want to say give up, but I would just, like, I would show visible frustration. And this is, again, this is me when I'm, like, 10 years old trying to help people, you know? Feeling like I'm trying to be a nice kid, but it wasn't easy for me to. Maybe the eyes changed too. I'm not 100% sure, Marie. But it is very much this... idea that I had to understand myself a little bit more so that I could actively help people like I wanted to. And I think nowadays, I definitely still fall into that habit sometimes, but I think there's a lot of people who know me who could probably say that I'm definitely doing much better when it comes to having patience and helping people and understanding that some people might not grasp a game or a concept that I'm trying to tell them as quickly. And I do feel bad because there are certain times where I will attempt to explain to somebody what I'm, for instance, I was dealing with a lot of audio issues over like the last like month or so, and I would try to explain those, and it would just go over people's heads and stuff like that. And I would try to explain it again, and I would just feel, instead of like frustration, it would be me feeling bad that I wasn't doing a good enough job explaining it. Definitely are good at teaching while you're doing the action. Yeah, maybe it did come from practice. I also think that, again, while I am diagnosed ADHD, it is still something that I have lived with that knowledge for a lot of my life, and I've been able to sort of understand these things. I am more than that, and I know that this wasn't like a full topic of what I was going to speak about today, but again, I think that it's still relevant with the whole transition and everything like that, because I think ADHD was such a big part for me. And there was a lot that I had to consciously, figure out about myself. And there were a lot of times, honestly, where when I would think about whether or not I was trans at a younger age, or this was just like a thing that people were doing, I would often like associate it with, maybe like the ADHD, or, oh no, it's nothing, it's probably just, I would just give myself all these excuses. And I feel like ADHD was actually such a common thing. Astrid, thank you for the follow. ADHD was actually such a common thing that I would like blame a lot of what was going on for me. Said you're on hormone, did it increase or any of it? I don't think it increased or decreased any of those symptoms, actually. If I'm gonna be honest with you, and I think this is important to hear for some people, I don't think that my endocrinologist is the right person for me to help, because I've been on my hormones for 2 years, and there's still issues that we are having from them that aren't happening from them, I guess is the better way to put it. And I feel like I might need a change to find someone else. And, whether just because I'm comfortable with the person doesn't mean I feel like I should stick with that person. Just got here you're not late at all, Astrid. Hey, it's okay. You're here now. That's all that matters. There is no late. Well, I mean, if you showed up in 2 hours, it would be late. But there is no late here. So, it's one of those things that the whole, transition process, you have to find people that, first and foremost, that you have comfortability with. Gabby, thank you for the lurk. But at the same time, I also, you need to know when your comfort is becoming a complacency, in a sense that you're not willing to make the change that you need to in order to further along progress for yourself. And again, this is something I'm actively dealing with. And it's still like a struggle of mine. Hydration reminder, thank you. I'm actually really dehydrated today. I think that, I don't know what it is. I've been feeling like maybe I'm talking a lot faster today. Weiss, thank you for the follow to the Baywatch. Hope you enjoy your stay. Not Baywatch. I keep saying that because it's my habit. It gets better. It's not my stream. This is not my stream. And you can tell how things are on autopilot for a lot of things here. No, this is not my stream. But thank you for following nonetheless. I couldn't even see the Pokemon. I had no idea that there was a Pokemon there. Are you shiny? No, you're not shiny there. No, you're not shiny. It'll all be good. You know, I think, I don't obviously, that's a mouthful to read out loud, and I'm reading it to myself. I want you to know I am acknowledging it. But there's a lot of good that you said there, and I think that, again, I think it's, that message there, Weiss, is a lot of good things that are, I guess, sometimes just healthy reminders to have for yourself. Like you said, it's a helpful reminder. We always need those little reminders. You know, you mentioned, Astrid, that your knees are sore. I don't think I've dealt with anything like that, which is interesting. But I mean, again, everybody's journey is different that is transitioning. You know, some people will feel things sooner. Some people will feel things later. You know, there's one of the common things that some people will talk about that, you know, some trans women talk about that they shrink. And believe me when I say, I wished I was one of those. I am 6 foot tall, wishing that I could be 5'7". You never know. Yeah, I will forever go on record for saying that. So you never know when somebody just needs a message to reach out to them. That stuff can always go such a long way for somebody. And it's only when you have someone outright tell you how much they needed that right now that it can go a long way. You're upgrading your partner's PC. Oh, that's exciting, though. My PC is turning into a total crapper, to put it simply, and I really need to upgrade. But I can't really convince myself that it's okay for me to spend about $2,000 on a new PC when I feel like I need to focus on surgical procedures and other things along that nature. Because I actually am planning to do 2 procedures this year. One of them being laser hair removal. The other one being not so much a transitioning purpose as much as just like, I want to get LASIK. And I've had glasses for over 20 years of my life. Again, I turned 26 in July. So the fact that I have, you know, I've had glasses for 90% of my life now, I'm just like, I'm tired of these. I just want to have good vision without needing glasses. How have I been enjoying the new Pokemon game? Weiss, let me show you something. I have 123 hours in this game. I am a very big fan of this game. I can understand that the gameplay loop, it can be something that's tiring for people. I set a challenge for myself that I'm going to be doing a shiny living dex, which if you don't know what that means is a shiny Pokemon or a shiny version of every Pokemon that you can obtain in this game. And that means, like, if I have shiny Pichu, I have to get a shiny Pikachu and a shiny Raichu. So it's a lot of hunting, and it's my challenge that I'm working on. Am I going over the name change? So I don't know how it is state to state, and we were talking about this earlier, Astrid. Some states do outright require you to, like, publish a name change in a newspaper. For me, I didn't have to do that. And in fact, I was able to submit through the online my name change application to the courts, and I was able to keep in contact via email with the courts and everything like that, making sure that I was submitting everything correctly. I had to be a big person, and I hate making phone calls, but I did in fact also, you know, call the courts to make sure that I was understanding everything, because it is a very difficult to understand concept if you're not somebody who's familiar with the legal system and the legal terminology and all of those things that you need when it comes to the court. What state am I? New Jersey. Shiny Teddy Ursa on Reset 2? Hell yeah, Marie. That'd be too much for you. See, I thought it would be, but I have had really good luck with this Weiss to the point where I've been like, so I am about 120 shinies in, And there's a little over 200 Pokemon that you can get shiny in this game. So at this point, I'm like, I'm already committed, and I'm so far in that I might as well just see it through, you know? Yeah, it is very much like that. It's a very old school, it's a very archaic way of thinking. And again, for a lot of people, it's a way of outing yourself that you don't want to go through. Why does a law require it in a newspaper? I think it's for the way that again, I don't agree with it, but I think that their reasoning was so that you weren't, you know, able to, like, skip town on anything like that, or, you know, like, if people had, like, you know, I don't want to say unfinished business, because that's not the right word, but, like, if you had any outstanding things that you needed to do, I think that was the logic back then, so people could, like, you couldn't just be like, hey, I'll owe you in, like, 5 months, and then, like, change your name. Again, I could be completely wrong, but I think that it was, again, for, like, legal purposes, or, like, outstanding contracts and stuff like that, as a way to, like, follow the paper trail for somebody. But again, it is a very archaic way of thinking. Yeah, and the difference is for, like, weddings, though. Weddings, people don't necessarily mind. You know, it's happy, la la la, look at me. I'm taking my husband's name now. Or, you know, my wife's name, if that's how you so choose to. Or my partner's name, if they are, you know, non-binary. You get the point that I'm making at. But for a lot of people, marriage is almost like they want people to put attention on themselves. So for them, it's one of those things where they're like, all right, yes, give me the attention, let me post it. Yeah, I mean, I think some states are getting better with it, and we are noticing that. Like, again, like, I'm from New Jersey, and New Jersey recently, over the last, like, couple years, did change their way of, you know, you don't have to publish it anymore. But I think, like, New York might still. My friend who goes to school in New York City and, like, interns at a law school was the one that helped me through all this process. And they're, like... Also, another thing to keep in mind, in order to initiate the name change, it was $250. I had to send $250 to the court system of New Jersey just to be able to apply for the name change. So it can be expensive, and make sure that you keep that, you know, keep that in mind. You've been using they, them pronouns since January. That's, you know, Weiss, I'm so happy for you. Can we get some congrats for Weiss there? Can we also get a pronouns check for everybody? My pronouns are she/her. We actually have them right below. How long did it take you to actively start? So, I was talking to my friend back at the end of August. I filed the paperwork in September. The court date was October. I got my court order final judgment at the end of November. So, you know, we're looking at from then until now is 7 months is what I've been going through. I'd say about 7 months is probably everything that I've been doing. And again, it's not done yet. It's definitely still like a process that I'm having to go through, and it, you know, it isn't perfect right now for getting that result. Hang on, I gotta... Why am I getting... Anyway, sorry. Someone... I hate when I get pings when I'm streaming, because I always am panicked that, like, somebody's gonna message me and be like, you're doing something wrong. Like, especially when I'm on It Gets Better. I'm sitting here like, oh god, did I say something? Are they upset at me? And no, I just got a random friend request from somebody I don't even know, and I'm just like, you don't need to add me right now, please and thank you. Do not add me on Discord. I don't need contact. Well, never. Look. It's the anxiety. I am an anxious girl. Alright, chat. We're gonna go for Shiny Starly here, because I need one more Starly so that I can finish that evolutionary line. So we're gonna go for the cute little bird. Again, there's just I think it's the idea that I never want to mess up anything that I'm doing. So I fear that when that I'm going to do that, and I just want to do a good job, and I just want to do right by the people who give me chances, whatever those chances might be. So I get paranoid that I might ever mess that something up. Bird, look at that big bird. Will we get an early Starly though? Will it shine for us early? Weiss, thank you for the lurk. Much appreciated. Ugh. Get in the ball. Also, thank you for the pronouns, everybody. I very much appreciate it. Again, pronouns are huge, and even if you are somebody who is not transitioning, you know, normalizing pronouns is such a important thing to be able to do. And again, just it's a great way to be supportive and not feel like, because for a lot of people, when you list your pronouns that are, you know, they will be like, oh, so you're trans. And being able to break that stigma by being a person who, you know, maybe isn't, you know, transitioning or, you know, not non-binary, that, you know, it does help a ton. So the people that are, you know, showing true support definitely goes a long way. And just remember that with people, that you can get a lot of support in just like the simplest of things. You don't feel that, at least for you, that you finish? I mean, I don't necessarily think that there is ever a finishing transition either, because the thing is that there are certain things when transitioning that you're always going to be doing, like taking medicine, whether it is via patches or injection or pill form. There's, you know, there are things that you're always going to be doing throughout your life. It's a never-ending process. But I think it isn't a matter of finishing as much as you have to hit, when you feel like you hit a point where you're happy with yourself, at least then it becomes like a stress off of your back. You know, I can take my medicine on the daily and not feel bad or not feel tired or, you know, like not beat myself up over it. But I still deal with things like my general dysphoria. Once you can work past that and actually see yourself and be like, damn, I look good, or damn, I feel good, that's, I think, when you hit that point where it doesn't really matter how much more, and it's, in a way, it doesn't matter to you after that how much further you go with it, because you're already at that feel-good moment. That, in itself, goes such a long way for people. Oh, hi, bird. Oh, hi, bird. Bird, get in ball. Bird? Bird respawn? Oh, there's the birds. Will any of you birdies be shiny birds, though? Shiny bird? Shiny bird? No, no shiny bird. What a small amount of birds. What a shame. We have a small amount of birds here. So, yeah, I mean, but again, everybody who, you know, has their own views of transitioning. And I think, like, for me, I talk about this a lot. One of my biggest problems was early on when I came out, in a way, I developed this ideal person that I would look like. And it was the worst thing to do to myself, because now, when I see myself, I oftentimes am... Alright, we're changing it up. We're gonna go for this Eevee. We're going for the Eevee, because I need more Eevees. And I want to hunt for an Eevee. And so, like, when I feel down on myself, or I feel like I'm still doing something good, I will look at myself, and I'll be like, but, you know, like, I'll find these things that aren't what I had envisioned. And, again, on the topic of mental health and, like, dysphoria and the mental viewing, it really does create this dynamic that is unhealthy. And you have to be able to, like, sort of realize and push past that, like, idea that you've developed for yourself at a much earlier time. And again, it's not going to be an easy thing to do, but it is something that is an important thing to be able to look at and analyze. I'm very, for better or worse, I'm very analytical. And so I think that a lot of how I view myself and how I view development, I look at it from, like, an analytical lens. And it's one of those things that, again, like, when I was coming out, I spent a month wanting to make sure that I actually, like, I was doubting myself. I was my own biggest doubter for the first month. I would tell people, and I would be like, hey, I think I'm trans. And I would sit there, and I would, like, beat myself up over it. But at the same time, I could sit there, and I would be like, okay, look at all of these things in my past that, why did I not want to do this? Or why did I do that then? Or, like, and again, they might be flawed ways of viewing it. Like, again, one of those examples that I use is that I enjoyed hanging out with, in kindergarten, I couldn't understand why I enjoyed playing with, like, the Polly Pockets more than I did with the guy toys. And again, that's not the case entirely the whole time, but when I find, like, almost like a pattern that I can associate with things like that, then I'm like, okay, maybe there was a reason for that, You're stronger that you didn't fit into the femme roles that you were constantly put in. It took a long time to figure out. And yeah, it's, again, like, the first time that I questioned myself was when I was in 8th grade. And I remember this moment vividly. I didn't hang around the greatest of people. And I didn't know it back then that these people were going to be as bad as they were. But while I hung around them, I think word for word, this is what I said. I was like, hey, have you ever had a dream where you were a girl and, like, you actually liked it? And they kind of gave me this look of, like, oh, like, I don't want to say disgust, but, like, confusion. And it, it was a very rough moment because it almost made me repress any ideas that I had, and I would still have dreams after that. And I would almost, like, there were times where I would try to go back to sleep, and I would try to recreate those dreams. When I'm trying to sleep, I would, like, try to find a way to recreate those dreams that I was having to understand why I was having them. And this is me at, like, age 12, 13 years old. And because of that moment, I did repress it for a very long time. And it became this, like, again, I look back on things with hindsight, and I'm like, imagine if I hung around, like, more accepting people or better people than what they became. And, maybe if they didn't have as bad of a reaction, I go, oh, maybe I would have, started in high school instead of in college. And again, it's rough to obviously view that way because it's not the healthiest way to view, but I do think about that moment a lot and how it really shaped a lot of how I started to view myself. Because then in high school, I really didn't like the way at myself. Oh, that is a big Eevee. Anyway, I didn't really like myself at all. I didn't really like the way that I was looking. I was dressing in very baggy sweatpants and long t-shirts and, things that didn't really draw attention to myself. Because I didn't care about how I was being perceived. And it became this whole thing that almost got, like, I don't want to say memed on, but yeah, almost in a way it did. Also, I know that I'm in the middle of a conversation, but I really need to use the bathroom. So, I'm going to put up the BRB screen. I'm going to leave you with some music, and I'll be right back. Thank you, everybody. I hope you've been enjoying today's topics. Alrighty, we're back. Thank you, everybody. Apologies. Again, in case you haven't noticed, I've been drinking a lot of water. So at the very least, me going to the bathroom is because I'm staying hydrated. And we enjoy hydration. I'm very big on, you know, the cycle that I go through of talk a lot, drink a lot of water because you're dehydrated, and then have to use the bathroom because you're drinking a lot of water, because you're talking a lot. So streaming becomes this endless cycle that you sort of go through with yourself. You know, over the last, like, couple weeks, I have been on a lot of different people's streams, and one of the ones that I was on, we were talking about misogyny and sexism that's on Twitch. And it was, you know, talking about, like, our experiences as women on the platform. And I got invited to be on this podcast. And the person who was hosting it even, you know, came to me and was like, hey, I want you to talk about what's going on, or, you know, like, with your charity that you work for and everything like that. And, you know, talk about what you do and why you do it. And, you know, it's really, and that wasn't, like, the only time that somebody asked about It Gets Better and the charity that I work for. And it really does sort of just mean a lot when, obviously, I can get included in stuff, because, again, you know, trans women are women, trans men are men, you know, non-binary people are people, etc. Like, you know, these are things that are true. But at the same time, a lot of the time, I oftentimes deal with it mentally that I still don't almost, like, it's still, like, I don't want to say surreal, but at times I'm almost like, wow, they included me, you know? Like, in this, like, positive view, because, you know, it's still hard to, like, I don't know, it's still, like, I don't want to say flattering, but it's still this, like, thank you for allowing me to be included in your space with other cis women, or thank you for, you know, like, I guess just, like, not making me feel like I am the token, you know, LGBTQ person and stuff like that. And it really, you know, it is this, like, feeling that never has gone away from me. If there's a conversation with a bunch of girls, or I get invited to a group chat with a bunch of girls, you know, it is something that still, like, is almost like, wow, like, thank you. Because I think there's still that innate fear that I'm going to get excluded from things because I'm a trans woman. And I guess, like, it's still, that feeling of satisfaction, I don't know if that's ever going to go away for me. Even though it should, because I know in my heart that, you know, trans women are women, I still oftentimes get flattered by that idea that I'm still getting included in these things. You're honored? I mean, look, I want to grow. Part of why I want to grow on this platform is I want to have more eyes on me, so that if there is somebody who, you know, isn't feeling comfortable or doesn't have a place, that they can find that. And I want to grow on this to help push, you know, gender norms and gender equality on this platform. I want to grow to imagine how amazing it could be if, like, I had, you know, 1,000 people watching me as a trans woman. You know, like, that would be so powerful to be able to have on this platform. And I'm not even considering it on, like, yeah, obviously, you know, monetarily, that would be really good to be able to hit those milestones. But I also look at things in the, think about how many lives I could possibly reach the more that I grow on this platform. And that's a lot of my motivation. And my chat probably, there are people here who watch me all the time that are probably like, okay, Chloe, I get it. You talk about this like once a week. And I do, because it is something that I really want to make happen. And I think that there are people on this platform inherently that don't have a goal like that. And I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't, but I think that there are people who just want to grow, and just want to grow because they want to be a big streamer and make money. And I'm sitting here with like this passion of wanting to make sure that I can help provide like the next, in a sense, like the next generation of people be able to have a more comforting place for themselves. You spend time in your life hiding, even as you are. And the world kept sending messages that you're not valid. It makes perfect sense to be honored when... Yeah, you're right. I guess, and I don't know. I think mentally, I oftentimes will be at like a battle with myself, because again, it comes with like that self-doubt and that I don't want to say self-loathing, but in a way it's that, I guess, the way that society was when I was growing up had drilled this mental image into my head of, this is how things are going to be for you. And that is far from the truth these days, in all honesty. Internalized transphobia? Yeah! No, I think that's a perfect way to put it. I think there was an internalized transphobia. And I know it's probably weird to say from a trans woman, but I didn't grow up with anybody who had even come out as gay. You know, my area, for better or worse, is very, old, elderly, and the people that are around me were cis. So, my only experiences with, you know, people that are LGBTQ were through media. And there's only so much positive media that came in, like, the mid-2000s. You want to know the most positive form of media? Oh, there's a Eevee! Shiny Eevee! Shiny Eevee! We got it! Stay in the ball, stay in the ball! We got a shiny Eevee. There we go, look at that. Sorry, I got distracted over the Eevee. Anyway. We got distracted with the Eevee, but we got another one. So, anyway, I think that this was a thing where one of the best forms of media that I actually read was a manga that originally had a character that they only said was cross-dressing and then eventually came out as, like, trans there. And this was, like, a manga that came out in, like, the mid-2000s. And that is such a like, an amazing thing to have been able to have read. But at the time, I didn't realize why that was a manga that I was reading that was resonating with me so much. And then, right before that, I watched an anime called Ouran High School Host Club, which is, the premise of that is this femme at birth individual goes to this private school but wears the boys' uniform, and they mistake them as this very, you know, feminine-looking male, and it's like that whole like thing. But again, another thing that was similar there, and I kept wondering why I would gravitate to that, and why there were, you know, moments where I would sit there and I'm like, huh, why am I so focused and fixated on this thing? And I look back at now and I'm like, you dunce, that's probably why. But I say that in like the loving way to myself. So your brain gets very confused and keeps yelling you keep yelling shiny Eevee. I'm sorry, Selene. I just wanted the shiny Eevee with 4 E's. There you go. The shiny Eevee with 4 E's. What if I emphasize? I go, Eevee! Is that better? Also, we're gonna go for shiny Pichu now. Shiny Pichu, where are you? Shiny Pichu, I found you. Just really big emphasis on the E. Oh! Hello? You tackled me. Here to listen and support. AJ, hello. How are you? I hope you're doing lovely. Thank you for being here to listen. There's only one trans person at your school. No mainstream media. Oh my gosh! There's no way! There's no way that I already got the shiny Eevee. Did it run away? I think it ran away. I heard the shiny chime, and Gabby can't be trolling me on here because I don't have blurps enabled. Oh my god. I think it ran away, so that's why you save before you come here, but damn. Yeah, I think nowadays, I think there was another person who came out they originally came out as gay, and then they hung around all of the girls constantly when at high school. And then they were working at a Red Robin in my town, and I saw them one day, and they were definitely looking like they were transitioning. And I never, like, I actively brought it up, but, like, you could see that they were wearing lipstick, and, you know, you could see, like, their figure and their body shape and everything like that. Hang on. Did it already show up again? I lost it. I don't want to lose any Pichu here. I'm, like, so paranoid. Oh, is that going to run away now? Getting the ball? Okay. Alright. I'm so paranoid that the Eevee that's shiny is going to run away from me that I don't want to lose it. I'm just going to sit here and do one by one. I'm doing well. This is a very nice conversation to be having right now. I feel very glad to be able to talk about this stuff on a platform that is very actively wanting to help promote these kinds of storytellings and this ability to understand one another and give perspective for people who might not be able to... There it is. Okay. For people that might not be able to have that perspective. Alright, I did it one by one. There's our shiny Pichu. We got it. Okay. Look at that Pichu all the way down there. You can see it, like, faintly in the corner. And there's the alpha. Big Pichu. What is that? 3 shinies already today? This is also a large outbreak as well. Where are the other ones? Because that one's all the way down there. You still... You done running? Alright, I think they're done now. There any more of you? Is that the last of them? This Eevee is still not going away. Or this, not this Eevee, this Pichu. Look at how far away this thing is. I'm just going to throw a ball at you because I need you to reset. There we go. Alright, these are the last 2 of the Pichus here. Bonk 1, bonk 2. Alright, we're done here. Oh, no, there's another one. So many Pichu, so little time. Are we done here now? Alright, we did it. Awesome. We've got some important shinies to take care of. They aren't overworld ones, but they're not duplicate ones aside from Eevee, which is very helpful. All right, which one's the shiny? I can't tell which one is shiny. That one. Yeah, that's a difference I can see. Can you see the difference in them? Because I certainly cannot. But apparently that one is shiny. Nope, I don't see it. I don't see it anymore. But you know, that's another one for the boxes. But yeah, there is honestly no difference whatsoever. I caught this Wormadam for the same reason that I wasn't sure if there was a difference in them. So I can release that one. That box. There we go. Honestly, there was just no difference there whatsoever. Oh my god. Em, hello. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I got a shiny Braviary last night. And we just got a shiny Pichu first try. And I couldn't tell the difference in it at all. I hope everyone is enjoying the topics from today. I hope everyone's just feeling good. The time has been going by very quickly, but hey, I'm happy to use this platform for good. It's so pretty, just like you. Got her. It's okay. It's okay. She's one of my mods. I'm allowed to say that to her. Alright, gonna do a quick scan of the area now. Make sure that I don't... maybe I'll get an overworld shiny. Feel good about things. So, I feel like I lost my train of thought of where I was before the shiny appeared. And I'm gonna be completely honest. Something you didn't expect to happen from the top surgery process. So, that's actually a really good question. So, for those who don't know, I got top surgery back December 20th. So we're actually almost at a full 2 months since my surgery. And one of the things, it's probably a silly thing, but it was something that I think is important to say, honestly. I was not ready to not be able to sleep on my stomach. All of a sudden, now having a chest meant while recovering, laying on my chest was very painful. And like, even like stretching, you know, I only one time walked into my chest while recovering. But that's another thing to like understand, is that inherently, you know, your body is bigger and you yourself might not be used to the size. And so you might be a little clumsy with it, and you might bump into things, or God forbid, you know, you open a door onto it and stuff like that. And, you know, for trans or masculine folk who get the reverse that I did, it's probably very, oh my God, you know, like, I can now open door, like, it's almost like the adverse in a sense. Like, I understand the door example is probably not the greatest way to word it, but in all honesty, I wasn't ready for just, like, the immediate satisfaction to hit me post-surgery. And, like, now that I'm recovered and the amount of, like, confidence that I've gained from this surgery has been, like, massive. Like, anybody who's watched me can tell, just if you look at the clothing that I've been choosing to wear while streaming, you can tell there's been a confidence change in how I've been dressing on stream, and what I've been feeling like is something that I could pull off. And a lot of that has honestly come from just overall gaining confidence and gaining more joy from my body. And I think, like, that's, like, the one thing that is, like, very impactful, and that immediate satisfaction did hit there. Been feeling myself. I mean, again, like, I have disliked my body for so long. I have disliked so many aspects. I'm gonna bring up that Euphoria episode that I was talking about. And in that episode, when they're going through the trans character's backstory, they're like, you know, Jules was an overall character. A person growing up. She just didn't like her legs, thighs, her feet, and then it just continues listing all of those things and stuff like that. And I'm just like, damn, isn't that relatable? Just listing everything that you see in yourself that just doesn't feel like it's you. And, you know, finally getting in a surgery that is such a big surgery for me, it does start to feel like, you know, my body is becoming me. It's one step in the process, but it really is starting to feel like effects are starting to come from it. Also, Marie, I hope you can come back in time, but it's totally okay if you have to dip out. Thanks for hanging out. For Savannah, shoulder. Yes, Savannah loves the shoulder. But yeah, it's very uplifting, for a lack of a better word, being able to look at myself in a mirror and be like, I see something that I like of myself. So AJ, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't gone in a store to do that yet, because when you're, for your first 6 weeks recovering from top surgery for myself, I was only allowed to wear sports bras, because that's just what you're told for. And so I've only inherently been about 1.5 weeks past that 6-week total. So I haven't actually experienced, you know, like going there shopping for new bras that fit me. So that is something that I still have to do. And yeah, who knows when that'll come. Because in all honesty, sports bras are very comfortable. And these ones zip in the front, and that's what I was, like, you literally had to buy, like, ones that zip in the front. So, as a lazy woman like myself, it makes life a lot easier, knowing that I don't have to deal with clasps. Yeah, I think most femme or femme-adjacent folk don't like it. I don't know many. For me, like, I'm sure, like, the first time will be exciting, just like the first time for a lot of moments is exciting. Yeah, I think that is one thing that I do want to do, because I haven't actually experienced it, is I want to get sized. Just because I want to make sure. Also, I just want to hear that satisfaction from somebody that just says, like, hey, you're this size, and I'm like, yeah, I paid for that. I think a lot of people, it's the laziness aspect, in all honesty. And there's nothing wrong with that laziness. But I also know that for me, on the topic of a bra, that is something that provides me gender euphoria, because it helps me look more feminine. And it helps me see my body better. And I mean, at the root of things, that's, you know, obviously you shouldn't rely on that stuff, but, like, that's also what, like, clothes and makeup do, or, you know, you wear things to make you feel good about yourself. And so I'm really just using it the way that it's supposed to make me feel good for. That I deal with that, but with shoes. My feet are way too large, and so getting a shoe size in women's sizes is very difficult for me. And most of the time, stores don't have them in store, so my only option a lot of the time is via them having an online section that sells those shoes. You know, Gabby, I can totally see that. And I think, like, that, there's a lot of folks that probably do, in a way, or I don't want to say a lot of people, but I'm sure you're not alone in that, is really what I'm trying to word it as. I'm always, like, scared of how much I can say on this channel, because I... I don't want to, like, go into, like, too much detail, because I know that this is also, like, designed for LGBTQ youth. And I'm like, I don't want to... I'm like, how much is, like, the line that's being drawn here? And I'm like, bra shopping's fine. You're allowed to talk about bras and stuff, because that's the transition process. I'm, like, trying to, like, be like, okay, how far can I talk about this? And I'm like, yeah, okay, I can word... Like, I'm being so particular with, like, my wording and how the conversation is directing itself that I'm like, careful. It's almost like, I don't want to say I'm like treading like a fine line, but like, I'm just like, the last thing I want to do is like say the wrong thing or make it be inherently directing toward a more older audience than I'm supposed to be directing it to, if that makes sense. I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that I haven't experienced yet that I honestly probably should. You know, one of those things is actually, I haven't ever gotten my nails done. I haven't ever gone to a nail salon and, you know, had somebody give me, like, a manicure or anything like that. This is something that I want, and, you know, people will be like, oh, why haven't you done it yet? And I'm like, because I want to experience that with, like, a friend, but I don't have a friend to do that kind of thing with. And it would be so, like, I don't want to go alone, but I want to be able to experience this with somebody. And I'm doing a great job. Thank you for understanding my worries and things like that. I don't, and again, it gets better. I don't want to, again, I just want to make sure I'm doing good by you because you've given me this platform and this opportunity. The last thing that I want to do is ever say or mess up or cause an issue. It's just the internalized worry of making sure that I do right by the people who allow me. I mean, yeah, we're in a pandemic as well. That's definitely a case. But also, I don't live in an area where I really have people. So, even though we're in a pandemic, I don't have people to spend time with. And I don't have people to do experiences with regardless unless I go somewhere else. And that's another, like, big thing for me that I don't have people in my area. I've got a couple TikToks in. Oh! Did I get a shiny Petalil? I think one of these shiny, chat. I think we have an overworld shiny. Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? It was one of these. I think something just shined here. It's not the Goomy. I think one of those just spawned shiny. Where's this petal? I'm just gonna catch all of these Pokemon that I can't tell if they're shiny or not. It's definitely not Goomy. Okay. I don't want to leave here, so I want to make sure I get this. Yeah, I already have shiny Petalil, so getting shiny Lilligant's actually one on my list here. Alright, let me... You could do your nails with chat as like a virtual sleepover. You know, I do paint my nails, but I've never done like press-on nails or anything like that, but that would be a cute idea. How do I have no idea how to pronounce your name, and I don't want to mess it up, so please do tell me if how to pronounce your name before I try to butcher it. Does that make... Yeah, it does really make my online community very important to me, because I don't have people around my area that I can do things with. So a lot of these, like, experiences I want to share with you all because I don't have anyone to share it with in person. Iona. Okay. Thank you. I wasn't gonna get that, so thank you for letting me know. So it is something that I I think, like, again, like, that's why I gravitated towards the Twitch sphere, because I didn't have people in person. And when I was in college, I had, you know, like 2 to 3 friends, but one of them, and my best friend that was in college, she commuted, so I never really saw her very much out when I would, you know, on my day-to-day. I'd only see her through, like, classes and things like that. And, ooh, Chimchar, we're doing Chimchar. And so I would not really have a lot to go out and do with people. One of the, I had one of those, like, few friends that I had in college was probably one of the best people that I had, because she would actively try to push me, and I met her my junior year, right around the time that I had come out, and it made me so sad a lot of the time, because I didn't get to really spend time with her come my senior year, and I knew how, like, important and how helpful she was with, like, a couple things toward the end of my junior year, that being able to have her throughout my final year in college would have been absolutely incredible. So it is quite, like, I definitely feel that, I don't want to say lack, but yeah, there's things that I want and out of friendship and, you know, socializing, because at the root of things, despite, you know, us being in a pandemic, we are creatures of like, at the root of things, whether you're introverted or extroverted, we as humans are inherently social creatures. So being able to spend time with people and share these moments is such a underappreciated thing for me that I don't get to experience very often, because I don't have the people around for these things. Pastel, hello. How are you? Welcome on in. I hope you're doing well. Hey, little monkey. Dodge? Alright, I don't want to aggro the Infernape, please and thank you. I just need to know if there's any more monkeys that are spawning in. Any monkeys? No, okay, we're done here. Alright. Bye-bye, Alpha. You know, it's funny. On the topic of, like, doing, like, a virtual sleepover, I had somebody suggest, based off of my personality, that I do, like, almost like a cozy time with Chloe, where every, like, a couple streams, I have this, you know, I think that I want to do, whether it was, like, you know, paint my nails, or, you know, like, do my makeup and get ready kind of thing, like, but, like, make it, like, a full stream event kind of thing. And, you know, I think it's, like, a really interesting thing for me to do, because it is, in a way, that inherent feeling that of socializing and having these moments without having the people in person. Bit under the weather, but you're doing okay. Oh, I hope things get better for you. I'm sorry that you're feeling a little under the weather. Hope that you feel better soon. Live my best life. Here's the thing. I'm so self-conscious that I struggle with that. Like, I deal with this. It's that fear of judgment and that fear of not knowing what somebody is thinking that pushes me away from doing so many things. Like, there are clothes that I would inherently want to buy, and then I'm like, no, I'm probably going to get, like, judged for it, or no, I'm not going to look good in this, and I deal with, like, that kind of, like, headspace. And again, I think it's that internalized, you know, like, negativity about myself that is this constant state of nothing's going to look good, and it's a battle. You're killing it. Oh, Iona, thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely feel like I'm making good strides, don't get me wrong. But I also see myself, and again, I talked about this earlier when it comes to, like, impatience and ADHD, that I see myself not getting further along and then thus getting impatient with myself. Oh my god, Nova Jones with the 5 gifted subs to the community! What the heck, Nova? Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh my god. Look at that. 5 gifted. Things you love to see. Thank you, Nova, for the 5 gifted to It Gets Better. Give me some love in the chat for Nova. Hope you're having a lovely day. Be gone, famous Link. You know, sometimes you want to become famous, but I already am. I have literally pissed off Tyler 1 and XQC. I'm more famous than those bots will ever make me. Anyway, so on the Gabby, you actually asked a really good question there. So how did I choose the name Chloe? Well, I care a lot about name meanings, and I spent a while contemplating names. One of the things that I initially told myself was I didn't want to pick a name that I knew somebody else had that in my brain I associated with them. So I took away a lot of those, like, you know, like, again, like if it was a friend or a cousin, I didn't want to choose that name because it felt awkward for me associating it with them already. So I eliminated a lot of names that way. And I care a lot about meanings of names. And so I would literally just go on, like, you know, baby name, top, like, whatever, and have, like, their meanings next to all the names. And when I got to Chloe, Chloe meant, it means, like, to bloom or blossom. And I sat there, and I read that, and I stared at it, and I was like, huh. Well, let's think about, like, what I'm doing right now. I'm transitioning, I'm blooming into the person that I am. I'm becoming a new me, kind of like a flower buds and grows into this beautiful object. And, you know, once I associated it in my head like that, I felt like it kind of just made sense. And now a lot of people actually tell me that the name's rather fitting for me, which is nice. And one of the nicest things that people will tell me is literally that that name suits you so well. And I'm just like, I'm glad that it's a name that feels like it fits me, you know? You struggle so much to find an MB name that fits you. I can only imagine, because, like, again, kind of like how when you're transitioning from male to female, there's only, like, so many names out there that you feel like you want. And, like, an MB name is even, like, I guess you have to sometimes you get even more particular with that stuff. Most people glare at you when you suggest your name should be bizarre. I mean, hey, whatever name you want, like, I as somebody who went through a name change process, I will never judge anybody who feels like they don't fit their, like, name convention. But also, uncommon names are so, you know, apparent these days. I mean, just look at, like, Elon Musk's kid. That's just a bunch of Bitcoin currency. I know, I'm probably sounding bad, but again, it's just letters and numbers that I don't. What did my family think of my name? No questions at it. Really, no, there was no, I have a really good family, so there was nothing, like, inherently that they had any bad opinions. There was, again, a lot of the same questions that you gave, that chat gives here of, why did you pick it? And that can get tiring to explain, honestly. And it's okay to feel like it's tiring to explain said things. But there was no outright backlash. And again, I explained it to him just like how I explained it to you, where I never wanted to pick a name that I associated with somebody else. Because I have a large family, and so inherently it would have been very awkward for me to constantly feel like I'm associating this name with somebody else, or all of a sudden now my family has to use the same name for multiple people. And, you know, with a big family that can happen, but it doesn't mean that I want it to happen. So on that topic, You have a span like looking things apparently. A banned from using a baby name in Sweden. You have no clue to start. Try to pronounce it. Wait, so you're saying like you're looking at names that are apparently banned in Sweden? That probably makes it even more difficult too. For naming your children, your family thinking, you know, again, like that's a very selfish way of seeing things, Selene, and it's a very frustrating thing to see, in all honesty, that there are people that feel like I've seen on like TikTok that, you know, I've heard these like stories on TikTok that are like, my mom won't see the baby anymore because I refuse to name it after her, you know, like that kind of thing. And it's a very like toxic like way of viewing things that is inherently not right to do to somebody. You went from Ariel to Ari to be more gender neutral. I think Ari is a great name, and I'm not just saying that because my best friend's name is Ari, and I adore her very much. But I think that that's like a great way of like doing it. Sometimes you can just find like a shortened version of a name that feels more gender neutral. So you keep Gabby for everybody but your parents. And that's gotta be like the worst thing too. I remember like when I came out as and I told people that I wanted to be called Chloe, I would have family like often like slip up and stuff like that, and I was never correcting them. That was a big thing for me too. No, thank you for the follow. Not the Baywatch again. Well, thank you for the follow. Welcome to It Gets Better. Hope you're doing well. Anyway, I struggled with, I guess, like standing up for myself, and in a sense of, I never felt like I should correct my family, and I would give myself the excuses of like, oh, they're just, you know, they're still learning, give them time, but like, it would still like irk me, and it would like, you know, upset me that I was getting misnamed and, you know, or misgendered and stuff like that, and it is something that obviously means a lot to me, and therefore I should be willing to stand up for myself, and it wasn't anything that was easy for me to stand up for myself for. So it is like, there is backlash that came, and I was always worried because my grandmother is one of 7, my father is one of 4, and my mother had my mom has a sibling. So there's a lot of cousins that I have, and a lot of people that I was unsure whether or not were going to be respectful toward me. And I mean, some are better than others. I definitely haven't had the perfect backlash, or not the perfect backlash, but the perfect support system. There are some family members that inherently were very rough to work around, but there are also some that are like better than I would have imagined. Coughs and 16 aunts and uncles. Yeah. Pastel, you understand. You know, and again, it was my grandmother that had 7 siblings. So then all of her brothers and sisters' children are then, you know, my aunts and uncles. And then my grandmother married twice, so I have, you know, more aunts and uncles there. And then to put it in perspective for how wild the whole, like, family tree is because of my grandmother's side of the family, I have a cousin who I lived with at college. He's a year older than me. He is technically a different generation in the family tree than I am, because his mother is my grandmother's sister, but his mother was the youngest of the 7 siblings. So while my grandmother was like the 4th oldest, so my mom gave birth to me a year after the equivalent of my great aunt gave birth to my cousin a year before that. So I was a completely different generation on the family tree than the cousin that I spend the most time with. Simultaneously want to share about the same time, it feels like no, nothing, so it's awkward sharing them. Turo, it's whatever you feel comfortable with doing, you know? The last thing we ever want somebody to do is not feel comfortable. Because that's what this platform is supposed to do. Is, you know, like, that's what this whole platform is a storytelling experience. It's to allow people to, you know, maybe you're finally working up the courage to talk about something. Well, if you are finally feeling like it, but you don't want to tell your family, then give it to somebody who you feel like you can be more comfortable with. And that's what we want this platform to be, is a place for people to inherently develop this more overarching feeling of comfort and develop courage and develop these abilities to feel like you can be yourself in other places. Your mother has a sister who is as old as your eldest sister. Yeah, it's wild. I think that same aunt that I was telling you about, she has a niece that is 2 months older than her. Which, again, very interesting looking at how, like, boggling that is. I don't think, I mean, it's definitely, like, a string of characters there, but I'm sure, in a way, like, the way that I view something like that is, even if it is a string of characters, to one person's eyes, you never know what meaning necessarily has in itself. Again, like, if you look at, like, Elon Musk as an example, again, like, think about what he named his child. Like, in a way, there was a meaning behind that. It wasn't just space roll the keyboard. Whether or not you see the, you know, name and you see, you know, the reason behind it like they did, that's entirely up to the person. But it's like the same thing with choosing any name. Like, if this is a name that you feel like can strongly represent you, even if it's a name that nobody understands, or hell, maybe even a name that nobody can pronounce, like, you have to, if you're going to go through a name change process, or you're going to go through the process of picking a name, you gotta just understand that this name is going to, like, oh, one thing I do want to say, it's okay to not know your name right away. It's okay to go through multiple names. I have known people who have gone and said that there are definitely, that have had different names throughout, like, you know, their time coming out before they decided to stick on one. Selene, thank you so much for being here. I hope that tiny humans enjoy dinner, and hopefully we see you again soon. Definitely not conventional, but they resonated with it. And that's, again, that's all that, for somebody who wants to for somebody to be a proper ally, regardless of how you identify, one of the best things to do is simply give yourself the ability to be there for somebody with their name and give them that sense of, hey, if this is how you feel, if you feel that this is your name and this is what a name that represents you, then there you go. With this name, their name is Albin? That actually sounds like a pretty, like, gender-neutral name, in all honesty. Like, again, it's uncommon, but uncommon, I feel like, is whatever, in a sense that, you know, what's uncommon nowadays could become common. You know, like, I'm sure, as an example, you could just look at what's the top, like, 50 baby names that were in, like, the 1960s. And then, like, imagine looking at the 1960s top 50 names and then looking at what's now, how vastly different those kind of overlaps can be. Yeah, I mean, I am somebody who has a 5-letter name, and there are, I kid you not, Pastel, I have had so many times where people still misspell it with 5 letters. I can't imagine having that many letters and not, like, you probably deal with, like, daily people misspelling your name and the struggle with that. Like, somehow Chloe gets messed up all the time. I'll never understand how Chloe gets messed up all the time. But that in itself is its own thing. I am not the perfume or the wine, M. Those are the two things that I know that have the little E accent. There's a perfume and there's a wine. Pretty sure it's a cheap wine, but it's a good wine. I have drank my own name wine. Is that weird? Nah, that's not weird. Like, you have a list of misspellings? I do too! I don't like to, like, people think that I'm joking when I talk about this, but it's like, it's so infuriating. There's, even the government, when I was applying for the name change, they emailed me, and on the email, they said, hey, C. Lowy, thank you for filling out the application. They forgot the H. They forgot the H. It's not like I wrote it on a paper. I typed it in a PDF. All they had to do was copy and paste it. And somehow they misspelt my name. I think it is too, Tura. You do not like wine whatsoever? That's totally a valid thing. I'm actually trying to... I definitely have been drinking less alcohol overall. And, like, my family is somebody who appreciates a nice bottle of wine, where... both my parents are primarily Italian, so that is something. But it was really neat to, you know, again, like, as a Christmas gift, I had, you know, my dad gave me that bottle of wine that said Chloe on it. Like, again, it's little things that'll always go a long way to build up into this, like, really big feeling. Like, you know, my dad saw that and thought it was a cute gift. And... you know, I wouldn't have expected anything like that, because my dad isn't really the most, I guess, like, again, for lack of a better word, sappy individual. And so, or, like, symbolic in a sense, like, I wouldn't have expected him to get a gift such as that. So, oh, there's our monkey, there's our red monkey! There's our red monkey! Red monkey, red monkey! We got it. Another shiny. We're doing really well today. We are doing very well today. Red monkey, red monkey. Is it pink monkey? Red, pink, one of those two. It was hard to see because of the shading. Alright, where's the last of those Chimchar? Or, no, yeah, they're still here. I just don't see it. How far did you get? Did it go behind the Infernape? It did. It's right here. Oh, no, that's a tree stump. Where'd you go? I miss you so. Seems like it's been forever since I saw you. Where the heck are you? I don't see him. Alright, whatever. That last Chimchar will be abandoned. Yeah, the smallest things can be so validating. And I think, like, that's one of, like, the biggest things that I try to teach people, is how impactful some of the smaller things that we experience can be to someone else. It's, again, like we were talking about it before with, you know, sending a message of kindness to somebody, because you never know how impactful that'll be for somebody, because it's true. You never know how impactful these kinds of things will be, and what seems like a very basic and simple thing to you that you might shrug off could mean the world for somebody else. And I think it takes somebody with, I don't want to say compassion, but it takes somebody with, I guess empathy is the right word, to understand that, and to realize that, and to be able to, I guess, work on that. We're gonna go for the Duskull here. I need 2 Duskulls. So let's do a Duskull right now. Like, I think about some of the things that have been, like, validating for me gender-wise. And, you know, like, you know, one of the things that, obviously, again, like, it makes sense, but just being invited to the Twitchers Women's Alliance, you know, this partner Discord of, you know, people that are women or identify as women. Being a part of something like that is so, like, validating. And, you know, to them, it's a simple invite and, you know, like, hey, you know, you are somebody who we think would fit that, and that's really it. And that was really, you know, there wasn't much more to it, but it was still this experience of validation to be able to have, you know, them still invite me. Those Duskull are all right here. Talked about getting new clothes while visiting your parents. Your dad called the store on your behalf and changing rooms were open. He called the men's department instead of, you haven't talked to him about gender thing. Aw. Gabby, that warms my heart. That really does warm my heart. And I know, especially in your area, how that is probably a big fear to be able to have to, you know, go through. You know, you're not in the greatest of areas to be somebody who is non-binary. And so it is something that you would think is small on the grand scheme of things, but, you know, it's exactly like you're saying, like, what's small for somebody on the surface could mean, you know, the absolute best thing for them. Cody, when do you not miss the memo? It's okay. This is this is another one of my mods. I bully him, but again, there's somebody who I'm very close with. This isn't just some random person that I'm sassing. Hi, Cody. I hope you're having a good day. Yeah, you made it. You know, there's a lot of new faces that have come by today, which is always a nice thing. Like, I know that a lot of people that will watch streams of me on here are a lot of my community, but I feel like I've been able to meet a lot more people right now, and I've been able to interact with a lot more of you and get to know a lot more. And again, like, that's one of the cool things about being on this platform, is being able to reach more people and being able to spread more to each other. It's all Lilas's fault. You know, funnily enough, Lilas rated me last month as well when I was here. So this is back-to-back streams that I've done that Lilas has been gracious enough to raid me. Which has been great, because I love talking to people. So being able to have a communication and have a conversation is such a incredible thing to, you know, for me. And I'm very thankful that there are people that want to share their communities over here for the stories that we tell and things like that. I forget what stone it is to evolve. Okay, Roselia goes to Rose Raid. We got a lot of shinies done today. For those who know that I have a shiny list, I am not actively updating it right now. I'll update it after this stream. But I am going through and doing specific shinies so that I can get my list taken care of here. Okay, let's talk to you. I have to add another Eevee to my team. Oh no, we're going to add the Chimchar so I can start getting Infernape. That's a good idea. Okay, and Togetic is done because we have... Look at that. We have the Togepi line all shiny there. I have the Rhyhorn line. I think I should take the Quillfish onto the team so I can make Overquill. There isn't much more that I can really evolve without, like, ruining my lines that I have here, you know? Gonna move that over one. We're doing well. Cody... we're not going to be here much longer, just so you know, before you dip out. I'm only here from, you know, for the next 30 minutes. Oh my god. But yeah, I'm trying to think, like, oh yeah, one of the things that still, like, warms my heart, or the first time that I got, like, Rely, hello, how are you? I hope you're doing well. One of the things that I think, like, touched me early on, that, like, made me realize how, like, it is impactful. Cody needs a shiny egg. Well, I don't have any duplicate shiny eggs. You're still getting a Mamoswine from me. Cody needs to message me when I'm not streaming, and when Cody isn't streaming, so that Cody can trade with me, so I can give Cody the shiny that I've been saving for them. It's okay, Rely. You don't have to apologize. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, if I get a duplicate Togepi, the duplicate Togepi is available. But I also have been oftentimes giving out my duplicates for, what's it called? I've been giving them away as, like, giveaways. So any of my duplicates end up being, like, given away as, like, a reward. So you gotta act fast. Yeah, so, like, I remember, like, early on when I came out, I was in this group chat of, like, 4 other, like, women or, you know, femme-adjacent folk that, again, it was, like, my first time coming out, and the fact that, like, I was instantly accepted into that group, and the kinds of conversations that they were having were definitely more directed toward, you know, a stereotypical conversation that, you know, like, a group of girlfriends would have. And I remember how I just sat there, like, smiling. And I think, like, the first time that I was, like, actually, like, having, like, one of those conversations, I actually cried. Just because I was like, I'm a part of this. You know, like, the validation that came from that. And there are obviously some areas in which can be, you know, like, rough to talk about. Again, like, if, for me, talking about prom and stuff like that isn't an area that I like to think about very often. So those conversations are hard, but still, when people, like, try to include me and try to understand me, that goes a very, very long way. You did win the shiny Swinub. I've also given out the shiny Turtwig. I actually have a good amount of shiny still. Like, we have multiple shiny Cricketots. A shiny, or I have a shiny Teddy Ursa. No, it's a shiny Ursaring that I can give away, and I have a shiny Tangela. So we have a good amount of shinies. There's like 4 different ones that I can actually, like, give away right now. I just keep as we get closer and closer to the list. You wonder who got the Turtwig? It was Shibby. I'm not talking about the one that I gave you. I actually gave another one away. I've caught 5 shiny Turtwigs. I have collectively gotten 5 shiny Turtwigs in this game. Oh, hi, Pachirisu. Not what I'm looking for in this tree, though. Again, I'm just the best shiny hunter. Back at the office with lunch, you'll be here till the end? Hell yeah. That's a lot of turtles. It is a lot of turtles, Rely. We've had a good shiny day, Rely. We've done a shiny Basculin, a shiny Eevee, a shiny Chimchar, and a... We've done a... Oh, we found an overworld shiny Petalil, and there was one other shiny we did first try. So we've had really good success today. Let me see. Let me go through my box and see what else it was. Boxes. Do I see what I'm looking for here? Yes, no, maybe so. Pichu, that's what it was. We got a Pichu first try. Look at that. Good old Pichu. Alrighty. And then again, we just evolved 2 more. So we've done 5 shinies in like 2 hours right now. Do they surgically remove the funny bone? Well, the end of that is an incorrect statement. Next question. Yeah, I mean, what do you expect? When you stream on a stream like this, you know, there's always going to be the people there. I have pretty thick skin when it comes to transphobia and inherently stupid things like that. Mainly due to being a Twitch streamer, but that doesn't mean it's not going to upset somebody else, which goes a long way in having somebody feel comfortable. And, you know, like, I try to understand, like, why somebody is so sad that they just need to try to make somebody else feel sad. Because I don't get it. I think chat likes my jokes. I'm not saying I am gonna go do stand-up comedy, but I think I've made you laugh a couple times already this stream. There's no point. I mean, hey, I just appreciate the mods. Always give love to your mods. Always give love to the mods. Because you... Honestly, I was looking at statistics for mods, and on average, people have 2.3 mods per stream. And that's over, like, you know, every Twitch stream out there. And, again, like, you always have support. And it is a very important thing to have support. And, you know, obviously there are some people who have less of it, and for some people, it's definitely a difficult thing to get. So, you know, again, like, that's why I try to create content and try to become this face. You know, for those who don't know, I competed in Twitch Rivals back in October. And I competed in it with two rather big streamers as my teammates. And when they... when one of them put out their YouTube video from the tournament, I remember just so many people followed me from that. And a lot of those people were people who you know, are a part of the LGBTQIA+. And it was, like, so validating and, like, fulfilling for me to feel like they all saw this, like, you know, trans woman deal with, like, so much hardship during a competition, take it in stride and be, you know, for, you know, a badass for it, pretty much. And it was really, you know, like, heartwarming to see all of, like, the love that people have given me from that time. And I honestly will, like, always, like, hold that in my heart as, like, again, another, like, reason to keep feeling like I'm doing well at my job that I'm doing. And again, there's just a lot of, like, self-fulfilling things that can come from this stuff. I thought that was a shiny Braviary, but no, it was just a stupid Murkrow. Just a simple, silly crow. God, I'm still not used to it. So for those who don't know, OBS had an update today for me. And with this OBS update, there's just a red, you know, like the red, like, recording circle. So it's there next to my icon for when I'm live, but I'm not used to it. So in my brain, I'm like, oh God, is OBS breaking? I'm not used to it. I legitimately think, like, I'm worried that, like, OBS is, like, broken right now. And I'm like, oh God, oh heck, oh frick, oh no. You need to update that. Yeah, Pastel, it's, you know, I'm not one to notice a lot of the changes that can occur with OBS, but that one, and then when you have an audio source and your mixer muted, it's now gray. And the audio levels will still go up, but they're obviously muted. So those are like two big things that I see. I now see like 5 audio levels going up and down and up and down, and I'm just sitting here like, oh, I'm used to like 2. Because I have it on like I have 3 monitors, so my leftmost one is where OBS is. So in the corner of my eye, I can see most things, and then I keep chat on the left side of my right monitor, so that way I can see it in my peripheral. And that's oftentimes when I will see a possible chatter, or, you know, somebody there, like, bam. I think even before this update, I was having issues with, like, Twitch end of things. On Monday, I went live on my own channel, and I dropped 40% of my frames instantly. I changed my server region, and when I changed my server region, all of a sudden, like, all of my audio levels in my mixer were looking like it was playing audio, but from the stream's end, they weren't actually getting any audio. And it was, I had to, like, fully close OBS and reopen it because I was like, I don't know what's going on here. So I had to start my stream, like, 3 different times because Twitch and OBS were just not in sync. You know what we're gonna do? Let's just get Shiny Overquill taken care of. Let's do that. So in order to get Shiny Overquill, I have to use a certain move on this Quillfish 20 times. So I'm just gonna go take out all these lower level Pokemon. You'll update your setup when you move. See, I want to update my setup, but the problem is I don't have the setup, or I don't have the space to upgrade anything or move or change anything. There we go. It needs that move. So it's a very frustrating thing at times because I would love to, like, expand my space or like decorate more, and I'm so constricted into what I have. So I gotta use that move in specifically the strong style version 20 times, and then I can finally evolve it. So we're just gonna go, you know, hit 20 Pokemon. But I feel like one of the things that I need to do is I feel like I need to get a new PC. My computer has been a lot slower these days, and, you know, I had somebody say that I could probably do with just getting new RAM, but I don't want to have to, like, just get, like, new RAM and then that not be the solution, and then have to sit there and then have to deal with it again. Like, I would rather just be like, all right, if this isn't a potential out, then I'd rather just take that out and not stress about it. Even though it is something that obviously would be easier on me to just, or it would be cheaper, and therefore it would be easier on me. But I need to go building a PC is very intimidating. See, I had my PC built by my friend, and then then that friend lives in northern New Jersey. I live in a more centralized part of New Jersey, and I don't drive, so I can't get to them. Now they live in San Diego, so I definitely can't get to them. The problem that occurs is now if I ever upgrade my PC, they're not around. So if I do any PC parts, now I have to ask another friend who would have built it differently, and then it becomes its own thing of I have 2 different people who have a view of building a PC, both trying to do it their way. But one was the one that built it initially, and so their way is probably, like, you have to, like, work around it unless you want to take it apart entirely. So it's unpleasant, to say the least. Alright. I've used Barb Barrage, it looks like 27 times, or 26 times. Well, so which means I've done it at least 6 or 7. So we need to use it 20 times. These balloons take 2, which is great. So it's less that I gotta take out. Well, maybe if you're level 3, you won't. So yeah, building a PC is definitely on the more intimidating side. Everybody says it's kind of like adult Legos, but adult Legos are still able to be messed up. Like, think about how many times you've watched, like, a video of somebody who's building Legos on, like, YouTube or, like, streamer. That's what, like, a trend, actually, on, like, streaming is people are building Legos on stream. And they're taking, like, hours and hours, and there's always somebody who's messing up on them. And I'm like, well, if you're messing up on adult Legos that are cheap plastic, I don't want to mess it up on my PC that costs $2,000. You know? It is not like adult Legos. I'm glad that you understand, Pastel. It is... It's like if you combined adult Legos with Squid Game. Like, if you mess up, you're screwed. I was trying to install a graphics card with my friend when he came over, and I broke 2 of my USB ports because I, like, broke a pin on the port, and now I can't use 2 of my ports. Is that Drifloon dead? It is. Unlucky. Alrighty. Let's get this quillfish to evolve into a big ol' balloon fish. At least this is, like, an easy thing to do. It's just, like, a time-consuming thing, you know? That's right. You can't use anything on me. You're using psychic moves, and I'm a dark type. Bop. Alright. Let's head back around this way? No, I don't want to be on the bird. We get on the deer. The weird deer. And then let's just go around here. I mean, again, looking for Drifloon will always be good, because they're going to take up 2 hits, but, again, anything works. It's not like anything's inherently putting me in danger of having to, like, heal up or anything like that. I just have to use these little Lepa berries here. Okay. There's the next one. We're probably, like, less than 10 away at this point. The good thing is that I don't have to count, because the game's just going to keep track for me. Which I'm very okay with. Hello there, Bidoof. Ooh, that's a shaky tree. One of these days, chat, I am going to get a shiny out of the shaky trees. And I'm waiting. I was actually smart when it came to going live today, because normally I will open up, like, either game capture or OBS, like, right before I go live. And then what ends up often happening is... Yo, pals, thank you for following the Bay... Not the Baywatch, I keep doing that. I will eventually not stop... I will eventually not say that. Thank you for following, it gets better. Anyway. God, I should, like, have to donate every time I mess that up. But, you know, it was one of those things that my PC's so slow on, like, boot up and stuff like that, that I feel like that's when, like, I'm having, like, most of the frame drops, or when everything's, like, initially opening. But then once I'm doing everything, things run fine. It's opening stuff is where the difficulty arises. So not sure. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know a lot of the time what slot goes where. And even then, sometimes it's a tight fit. And that's where the issue was. You know, if my friend couldn't initially do it, I was like, here, let me see. But, like, again, like, you know, what's easy for, like, somebody can be inherently hard for somebody else. And I think, like, that's another thing that sort of just needs to be understood, like, as a society. You know? There are some things that can be easier for somebody else that, again, like, it falls under what we were talking about earlier with, like, teaching and stuff like that. Like, if I want to teach somebody how to what's it called? Like, if I want to teach somebody how to shiny hunt and they don't grasp it right away, that's okay, and I have to, like, be understanding of that. I can't say that, you know, it is, you know, no, this is easy. Like, I can't be, like, you know, like, ridiculing their feelings. And there we go! Shiny Overquill. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Alright, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to get a shiny Ursaluna. So let me head to Spiky Boy. Yes, we got a big ol' Spiky Boy. So now we're gonna head back to the Mirelands. And we're gonna go... The thing about getting an Ursaluna in this game is that it has to be specifically during a full moon. So you gotta just kind of keep trying until you get a full moon. Very werewolf-esque. And nighttime. And you know, sometimes you just can't see the moon right away. But the good thing is that even if you can't see the moon, you can just go to the area and find out if it's a full moon anyway. Because if you stand here and it says that you can evolve, then you know it's a full moon. And if not, then that's okay. Although I'd like to see what, like, phase of the moon it is. Because for some reason the moon, like, takes a second to, like, show itself. And it's very frustrating that you have to get this via this is, like, the only way that you can do it. So it's a lot of just keep on resetting the date and resetting the time in the game. You're gonna do the same right now. Gotta get that shiny boy, what can I say? I also clicked on evening instead of nightfall, which isn't good enough. The thing about how I've been doing my shiny hunting in this game is I've been catching a lot of the younger, the baby forms, which means I have to do a lot more evolution than some people. Which camp is it? It's where you battle the Ursaluna. Yeah, you have to use the peat block. I don't have the peat block on hand. Yeah, you have to use that, Gabby, but you have to do it during a full moon. I forgot that I didn't have one on my hand. Whoopsies. Take that out of the box. Oh, hey! Yeah, look at that! Nice and easy. Look at that, I almost reset. Oh my god, it changes color! I wasn't ready for it to go from green to red. The other two forms are green, and that's red. That's actually not a bad one, though. That doesn't look bad. Like, I was ready for that to look a lot worse. Is there anything else that I can do evolution-wise? I don't think there is. I think I've taken care of most of these things. Like, it's funny looking at these boxes and, like, a lot of it is taken care of. Oh, wait, I can do this one here, which is... You need a certain stone? Are you Dawnstone? No. Is it Shiny Stone? It's one of the stone evolutions here. No? Maybe it needs to be in the morning. Oh, it might be... I think it's a Sunstone. I think you're a Sunstone. Yeah, there it is. Alright, now we're gonna have a shiny Lilligant. The Ursaluna did look really nice. I'm actually a fan of that one. Ooh, I like those colors. The, like, blue, kind of like cerulean blue going with it. It looks nice. It works. Alright, and now we can put you in the box. I'm just doing all the evolutions right now. Let's just do this Eevee while we're here. Let's do a... We're gonna do a Vaporeon. Alright, so this Eevee is gonna become a Vaporeon here. That's pretty. You're pretty. Unless you don't want to be called pretty. There's our shiny Vaporeon. Look at that beautiful color there. And there's another one taken care of. I'm just doing all... I'm like, I might as well just do all these evolutions right now while I'm sitting here. Is there any more that I... Oh, Ninetales. All right, let's get a Firestone. Firestone. And now we have a shiny Ninetales taken care of. I really like Ninetales as shiny. Look at that color. That, like, charcoal gray looks so satisfying with a shiny. Honestly, I think I'm going to keep that on the party. Just because I think it looks so nice. Is there anything else that I can do? Or are we done here? I think we're done. In terms of, like, evolutionary stones that I would use right now. What's next in the transition? What's next? I have a electrolysis appointment, actually. I have a consultation for it in April. So that's the next step, which is laser hair removal. And that's actually not covered by insurance, so that's going to be an out-of-pocket thing. So I'll have to be taking care of that. But I mean, at the root of that, it's not necessarily, like, the most, it's not going to be the most expensive thing, especially when you compare it to what I had to go through for my top surgery. But electrolysis is actually something that, to put it as generalized as possible without getting into detail, I wouldn't be able to get the bottom surgery that I want without being able to get laser hair removal. So I have to do laser hair removal. But again, that's totally fine that I have to do it because, I mean, that is something that, again, is another cause of dysphoria for me. So being able to accomplish something like that. And that's the one thing to understand is that, like, insurance, a lot of the time, is going to be difficult when it comes to these surgeries and these procedures. And they might not be the best when it comes to being able to work on these things. So it definitely takes being able to get possible support if you're not financially able to do it. I know some will probably, you know, they can work, places will work with you. Don't be afraid to, like, you know, at least look for, you know, getting help with that kind of stuff. Like, I think a lot of these places that are doing these surgeries understand where a lot of trans folk or non-binary folk are coming from, and I think, like, those who are doing the surgery aren't doing it for monetarily gaining as much as they also want to help people, and therefore they want to make sure that there are people out there that are able to, you know, get these surgeries, because not everybody is going to be, you know, in it for the money. So just make sure that you can see where you want to be with that kind of financial burden, and don't be afraid to ask for, you know, like, options, I guess. Look at your options. Don't just settle for whatever is there, I think is what I want to say. Just gonna send everybody out here. Here's the shinies in the party right now. Look at the squad of shinies here. What a nice squad. What do we think? You think this is a nice squad? I think that's a nice squad. Here, let me... Look at that. What a nice squad. 5 beautiful shinies. Let's bring them right back here. Yoink, yoink. And there. But friends, Heracross going. Yeah, Heracross going. But friends, that is going to unfortunately be it for me for my month that it gets better. It's already been 3 hours, I know. We had some really good conversation though, and I'm very thankful that we were able to have these conversations. Because again, I know that these can be very rough for people, and I don't ever want to feel like you are going, like, I know that if some people might not be able to have these conversations comfortably, but this is the right place to do it. And I think that It Gets Better does a great job with their storytelling and their listening and their resources. But such a good combo. It really was. I think this is probably my favorite stream that we've done out of the 3 that I've been here for. So thank you everybody who helped make it this If you obviously enjoyed myself personally, I am beginning. My socials are all listed above. And if you please want to listen to more stories from amazing individuals, follow It Gets Better. They do a ton of... There's a lot of content creators that stream on this platform. Some of them actually rated earlier in terms of Lilas as an example. You know, there's a lot of amazing content creators who will help this, and there's a lot of stories to listen to. So, thank you. I don't know if It Gets Better has anybody to raid, or if I have to just hit the stop streaming button. It's whatever they have in mind. But again, thank you everybody, nonetheless. I'll be back personally on March 23rd. So if you want to see me here again, I'll be here toward the end of March. You? I'm good to stop? Alright. Well, thank you everybody. I'm gonna head out then. Have a lovely rest of your day and take care.